And we are live with our first early week edition of Ballin in the Boot. I'm your host, Jace Lejeune, alongside Spencer Verrett with the LHSA Network. Spencer, we're definitely shaking things up a little bit. Obviously, we're covering the cross-country state championship meet yesterday, so we kind of adjust our schedule a little bit. But I kind of like this live stuff, so we might be doing this moving forward throughout the start of the week. But Spencer, before we go into the playoffs and break it down, a lot of the championships already you've already covered. You talk about cross country, but volleyball. So talk about what's been a crazy couple of days for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, Jace, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to be here. But it's a little different, in person and on here. But appreciate you for working around my schedule a little bit. Thursday I went out there for some volleyball action in the quarterfinals, and then it's in the Cajun Dome. And you go from Thursday, then Friday you do semifinals. We get out of there a little early so we can go out and get some football. So I was able to catch some football down in New Iberia with Catholic taking on Glen Oaks, and then I headed over to Laurelville. Laurelville's a really cool stadium. I was there for the first time, so I want to give a big shout out to the people at the Tigers Den in Laurelville. I actually blocked them in, but after we moved some things around, we got freed up and got to see them beat Ville Platte. Then Saturday was championship day for volleyball. We had 5 great champions, 5 great runner-ups. We've been kind of posting some of the stuff to the LHSA Network account from the champions. Got some great stuff that I'll be putting up on my Twitter account and Instagram account. Just Spencer LHSA Network on Instagram, Spencer Verrett on Twitter about some of the runner-ups. I feel like that sound kind of gets lost sometimes from the champions. But, finish up there. Then Sunday, drove up to Natchitoches. Did one of the tougher days of my life of deciding to try to run a 3-mile with almost no training. With Adam McDowell, who does 5Ks kind of professionally almost at this point. It was not good. It was not good. If you wanted to see the highlights of that, it's on my Twitter as well. The whole thing is crazy. But then yesterday, getting out there and seeing these kids run 3 miles, giving it everything they got, kids going out way too fast, but still fighting their way through things. It's incredible to see that the athletes we have here in Louisiana and what they're able to do. So we crowned some great champions yesterday in cross country and volleyball. You can catch some recaps of those on the LHSA Network, not this week, but next week on our Wednesday night show, the high school spotlight that airs at 6 p.m. And they'll be up for, those shows will kind of be up for on demand afterwards. So, football's king here in Louisiana, but I encourage everyone, check out your volleyball teams, hear about your cross country teams. It's hard to go check them out because they're on Saturday mornings, but, go check it out. Like, it's honestly a lot of fun to be around, and it was a really fun couple of days, but yeah, it took today to recover, and now we're ready to talk some high school football in the second round.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we had our first round recap. Spence, we had a lot of great guests on. Ryan Antoine, Westgate head football coach, he joined us on the show. Tyra Lewis, after a thriller of a game, they had to survive in overtime. He joined the show as well. And PJ Sprunk from Haynes Academy, they won in their first playoff game in program history. So I had a lot of great coaches on the show, and looking forward to having a lot of great more on Friday. But we're here. I know a lot of people are tuning in right now. So if you have a comment, if you want to talk about your team, me and Spencer, we're also going to be making some predictions. So if we're scolding your favorite team for whatever reason, hey, you can point us out. You can call us out in the comments if you like. But
go easy on us now. Go easy on us.
Yeah, go easy on us. Don't go too hard on us. But maybe use it as motivation. That's what I say. I'm just trying to help the losing team out. That's
some locker room material, guys. Y'all see what happened on Ballin in the Boot? They picked against us. Let's show them they're wrong.
Right, was proven wrong. I mean, that's all we're trying to do. So we got a little hi. There we go from Noel. So say hi to you as well, Noel. Thank you for watching. And yeah, Spencer, how we're going to do it on the show. We are going to break down, I guess, a preview the second round matchups on the show. I'll pull up the brackets and we'll dive deep into each bracket. We're going to start off with Division 4 and work our way up through the show through Division 1. And we'll first talk about the overall second round matchups, and then we'll go and dive a little bit deeper in each of these games. So here we go. I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit for y'all. So here we go.
Oh man, he's got the shared screen going.
Oh yeah, I got it all set up, Spencer. So
we got a crazy one to start us off at the top, though, right?
Oh, you ain't lying. I mean, they've been playing for over 100 and 125 years, 130 years over there. Now you get the postseason edition of Haynesville and Homer. Obviously, the higher seeds they will host. So number one, Haynesville, they'll begin their road to the Dome against Homer, coming off a thrilling win. Homer had to survive 21-20 against Franklin. Our second matchup, Jonesboro Hodge coming off a 44-20 win over North Central. They'll take on Vinton. Vinton had to play the Quincy twice in a row. Did not let them hurt them there as they were able to take care of business again against the Quincy 28-0. So Jonesboro Hodge and Benton 8-9. Logansport, they get a 44-0 win over Varno. They'll take on Welsh, who's coming off a 38-23 win over Lake Arthur. Grand Lake is taking on Jeanerette. Grand Lake put up 61 points up on the board against Montgomery. They'll take on Jeanerette, having a great season, only one loss on the season. Now you look at the bottom side of the bracket. You got South Plaquemines taking on West St. Mary. West St. Mary, they had a tough, that's a tough first round matchup against Bazille, but they're able to survive. The Wolfpack were able to advance 28-22. South Plaquemines will take on West St. Mary. This is going to be, I'm sure, a matchup that myself and Spencer will talk a lot about on the show. But Elton will take on North Iberville. McKeown Lemoyne, one of the leading rushers in the state this year, will take on North Iberville, once again having another great year in varsity action, their second year in the 1A. They just defeated Arcadia 53-6. Another really intriguing matchup, East Feliciana will take on Faraday. East Feliciana coming off a 44-6 win over Delcom. Faraday blanking Northeast 58-0. And then finally, West St. John, there were used to be a powerhouse at the 1A level, trying to get back to that. They had one of the most impressive first round wins I saw, 50-6 over General Trask, who's been a team that's made some playoff runs in the past, but they got a big challenge on number 2, Mangum. So, Spencer, we're going to break it down, basically the top half of the bracket. But just first of all, your thoughts starting this thing off, Haynesville and Homer. That is a matchup, probably the oldest in the entire state, and we're used to that matchup, and now they'll get to play each other in the second round.
I just want to say first, Jace, before we dive into things, I'm pretty sure when we did the week 1 thing, I think we said higher seeds were going to win almost every single one of these games in the first round. So, yeah, I think in Division 4, we're doing pretty good. But, Haynesville, Homer, it's a game that's got a lot of history to it. A lot of people are always showing out for this one. There's a lot you can say about the history of the game, but in the current time of the game, the last time they played, it was 54-6 Haynesville won, if I'm remembering correctly. 54-6 they beat Homer earlier this year in week 3. Now there's been a lot of time between then and now, but this team is a Haynesville team that's looking to make a run to the Dome and kind of right some of the wrongs that have gone wrong the past 2 years in the Dome. So call me impressed with what the Golden Tornado have done this year. They deserve that number 1 seed. I think they're going to push for the Dome, and I think they'll make some easy work of Homer this week.
Yeah, for sure. Like you mentioned, all the higher seeds, no upsets really in this first round. We talk about Division 4 non-select, but Haynesville, Homer, they know each other maybe too much, and I'm sure Coach Franklin's like, hey, don't overlook Homer because obviously they know us pretty much in and out. So that can be a really tricky matchup, especially coming off a bye. So we'll see how rusty Haynesville does look, but they've been really going through everybody on nonstop throughout the regular season. So they'll take on Homer. Jonesboro Hodge, Vinton, Coach Blankenship. He does a great job with his guys over there at Jonesboro Hodge. Vinton having a great season there as well. This is an 8-9. So you would think that this could be a pretty tight matchup. But the game, home field advantage could make a difference with the game being at Vinton as well.
This classic North Louisiana versus South Louisiana, Jason. Yeah, Vinton down near the Lake Charles area, Jonesboro Hodge out in the middle of North Louisiana. You're right, though, 8-9 matchup. I think this is going to be a great game. I think this is 2 teams that are having a really successful year. It's good to see Jonesboro Hodge back to winning ways under Coach Blankenship. He's done a great job this year, like you talked about. Vinton, they're having a really, really good year. We kind of saw them keep up in basketball a little bit. They had some great athletes on that team, and I think I remember them saying, "Hey, look, you'll see us in football too." And sure enough, we see them here in football. They look really good. It's tough to beat a team twice, and I think we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. That a lot of the
Sure.
teams were like, it's tough to beat a team twice. I think they all handled business really well. But this is a coin flip game for me, But I think you're right. The travel can definitely take a little bit out of you, so I would probably edge Vinton at home right now. But some good locker room material there for Jonesboro Hodge.
Yeah, I'm going to go against it here. I'm going to go with Jonesboro Hodge, like Coach Blankenship. He's got a lot of experience, been in the school for quite some time. Got some seniors there, more of a veteran team. Dakota Knox, and Landon Boston. These are two players that will be playing in our bowl game at the end of the year. So I think they're going to want to extend that game a little bit more. So their season a little bit more until they get to that bowl game. Vin's had a great season. I believe 8-2. Like record wise, I think Vin's 8-2. Jonesboro Hodge is 7-3. But should be a great game, and I expect to be a really close game there on out. So we both have Haynesville moving on. You have Vinton moving on. I have Jonesboro Hodge. All right, the third matchup, Logansport and Welsh. We talk a lot about that. This is really the North Louisiana bracket, Spencer. Logansport's one of those other teams as well. We talk a lot about Haynesville. We talk a lot about Mangum, but hey, don't overlook Logansport because they're going to throw their hat in the ring as well.
Yeah, Logansport is a team that's made some great runs over the past couple of years. They're always in that semifinal, quarterfinal area, but don't sleep on Welsh. This is a really battle-tested Welsh team that's in the tough district of having to play against LCA, Lurka, Notre Dame, which all have buys in the Division III select brackets, and their other losses are Jennings and Eunice, I think. So, this is a really battle-tested Welsh team that I don't think a lot of teams are going to take lightly, and I don't think Logansport's going to take them lightly, because I think if you do take the Greyhounds lightly, they'll probably end up beating you. But once again, it's that North Louisiana, South Louisiana type of thing. I think
a lot of those matchups.
It's a lot of those matchups that sometimes the travel makes a difference. I think last year when Mangum and South Platte played each other, we we'll talk about it later. But if those two are on a collision course, I'm liking the home team right now. And last year, South Platte won the home team. They got the win. They ended up in the dome. They ended up winning it. So I think that being at home will help. I think this game is close.
Okay.
I think Welsh can probably take it to a fourth quarter battle. But I like the Tigers at home.
Yeah, I like the Tigers at home as well. Coach Kevin McGee, a guy that has done it at Logansport. When he was a player, he won a state championship, and obviously has led the Tigers to a state championship when he was a coach. So they're used to making some deep playoff runs over there. They know what it's like to play this time of year. So give me Logansport to advance to the quarterfinals. So Grand Lake Jeanerette, this should be a really interesting matchup. Grand Lake, just over the last couple of years, I mean, they made the state championship game and was a great story a couple of years ago when the game was played in Natchitoches. But Jeanerette, I mean, what a season they have had this year. I believe only one loss on the season. But they've been really game busters throughout the entire regular season and really great this year. You got a chance to see Jeanerette play earlier this season. So Grand Lake has some experience with some post-game runs. So, hey, this could be another really close game. We'll talk about this one on Friday night.
I think it could. But right now, I really don't see it. This Jeanerette team is really, really good. They've got a lot of good athletes. Obviously, they're a little beat up. Star running backs out for the year. I think they're starting to get a little healthier come playoff time. And a lot of it too is they're running off of what happened last year. They made it to I think the second or third round, and they got beat by General Trask on their run to the semifinals, and that kind of has played a lot on these guys' mind. Coach out there does a great job with Jeanerette and that group. They're kind of down there in that South. They're one of those South Louisiana mines that I like to call it, but they're playing another South Louisiana team in Grand Lake. So, but I think they're playing really good football this time of year, and I think that's going to help a lot come playoff time. And also, if they win, it would set up a Tigers v. Tigers matchup. So, give me Jeanerette.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with Jeanerette. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than what it's going to be just because, like you mentioned, they're trying to get healthy at the right time, get some of those guys back. And I think Grand Lake playing a game, especially in the fashion that they did, they got some confidence coming in. I think this could be maybe a rusty showing at the beginning for Jeanerette, but I think their athletes, their talent's going to be able to prevail. So give me Jeanerette to move on. So I believe, so we have the top half of the bracket, and let's go to the bottom side, and we have to talk about the defending state champions, right? Coach Wildfee's doing a great job with the Hurricanes, and last year, a lot of people really overlooked South Plaquemines to that state championship run last year. And I think they, even though they're the defending state champs, I'm kind of getting that same feeling with the Hurricanes right now.
Yeah, South Plaquemines, a team I saw that week 10 against Newman. They obviously lost that game. They didn't even put up a point in that game. But Newman's kind of a level right now. I think they're getting close to being on that same level. I still think Newman's just slightly above South Plaquemines in terms of enrollment and stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm sure Coach Feet was relatively disappointed in that game, but I think he's happy. Everything's kind of in front of them right now. Everything that they want to accomplish. They want to try to be state champions again. That's still in front of them. And they've got a West St. Mary team that I think a lot of people were surprised with throughout the year. They kind of came out of nowhere when they went. I actually saw West St. Mary against Jeanerette. They've got athletes. Jeanerette blew them out the water, but
right.
They had a close one around one against Bazille. Give me South Plaquemines on this one. I think the Hurricanes got a lot of athletes. I think a lot of athletes and a lot of players that are kind of upset with how that Week 10 game went, and so they had a week to think about it on the bye, and now they're about to unleash it all on the Wolfpack. Give me South Plaquemines big at home.
I got you too. I think South Plaquemines is going to be, too much. Too much for West St. Mary to handle. Rob Parker, the quarterback, was a quarterback last year as well. Really talented team. Coach Fee's got this team rolling right now, and being the defending state champions, they know that they want to start off a team that can definitely have the opportunity to go back. I think this is really. Now, there's two matches we're going to talk about. I'm really intrigued about in the second round matchup. We have Elton and North Iberville. Elton, McKeel, and Lemoyne is having himself a fantastic year. One of the lead leaders in rushing. I believe he's ran for over 2,000 yards, 38 touchdowns this year, putting up some incredible numbers. And that's what they're going to want to do because North Iberville is very explosive on offense. Jeremy Favorite, BJ Melanson, they got a lot of great weapons. Josh Gass is doing a great job with North Iberville in their second year in varsity action. The game is at home, but hey, I don't know what you're thinking about this game, Spencer, but I think it's going to be a little bit of an upset alert right here.
Yeah, put them on upset alert. I think last year. Kind of have the other bracket from last year kind of in front of me. And it's funny, North Iberville played General Trask last year in the second round. They got bounced out by General. And then obviously Trask went on to beat Jeanerette, who in the previous round, last year, Jeanerette played Grand Lake as well. So, there's a lot of familiarity in this round. But yeah, Elton's having a really good year. They can put up points on the board. Obviously you mentioned Lemoyne. He's a great running back. And but North Iberville's having a good year as well. And, I'm kind of going back and forth in my head right now thinking, man, which team am I going to pick this year? This is just – I think this is going to be a good matchup. I think if you're a North Iberville Elton fan, I would say get out there early because there's going to be – for a Division IV game, I think there's going to be a good bit of people out there watching this one. I'm going to make the pick on the spot here, I think. Give me Elton in an upset. I think, when you've got that guy that you can rely on throughout the playoffs, I think it can help out a lot. And if North Iberville struggles to slow him down in a shootout, it could come down to just, being able to give it to your guy. And I think Lemoyne's that guy.
Yeah, I think especially at 1A, you can have just that dude and he can take over. And there's going to be some guys to talk about in select as well. But I think that's what's going to happen here. I like Elton as well to pull up the upset on the road. North Iberville, I just heard about this, Spencer, but they only ran 11 plays on offense the entire game. It was a bunch of pick sixes, fumble recoveries, returns for touchdowns, play like that. The defense is able to take advantage. But maybe the offense is a little rusty after only really having the ball 11 plays. And I think Elton's going to try to have that formula this time, though, to play keep away and make sure North Iberville doesn't touch the ball that much. And I think Elton's going to try to run right at North Iberville, kind of what Ascension Catholic did this year. So give me Elton. I think Elton's going to find a way to get the upset on the road. But that should be a great matchup, though. It'll be one of the better games in this bracket. I know North Iberville fans, I know they like the show. They like watching the show. So I know I'm going to be getting it.
We got you that locker room material.
They definitely got that locker room material. Now, this game, these are two wild cards, Spencer, that can make a run and make it interesting. East Feliciana, Faraday's got a lot of great talent Desmond Jefferson, Peyton Collins, a lot of great Division I talent. You look at East Louisiana, Ryan Moore, Caden Wilson. These are two teams just talent-wise. They can pretty much match up with anybody. But, they've had some of their rough games there now and then. But when they're on, they are really tough to beat. And I'm really intrigued to see which one of these two teams is going to be on Friday night.
Yeah, Eastville kind of caught my eye at the start of the year when they beat Kentwood.
Yeah.
That was certainly one that everyone was like, hold up, now wait, hold on, what's Eastville got this year? And they've had a really good year this year, but Faraday's kind of gone through a lot. They obviously, when I went up there and saw them, that was conveniently a couple days later. They said the field is no longer usable.
Yeah.
The Trojans though have persevered through that. They've been really, really good. They've played some close games. I mean, the 2-seed Mangum, they played an 8-point game against them. It was 56-48. I think if you can get hot at the right time in this bracket, you can make a good run. And I think Faraday, 58-0 in the first round. I think they're getting hot at the right time. Now, don't get me wrong, 44-6 is really good as well for Eastville. But you kind of mentioned it. I think this is a game. I think out of the bracket, this is the best game of the week for this bracket. 7v10. Faraday's coming down to East Feliciana, which I don't, I'm trying to think about the drive a little bit. I only think it's maybe like an hour or two or so. You think about Faraday. It seems like it's far away, but it's really not.
No, it's not. Yeah.
Give me the Trojans in this one. I think they've got the athletes coming in at the right time, and I know Eastville's got some great talent as well. But I like the Trojans to then, kind of spoil my next pick. But I like the Trojans set up a rematch with Mangum.
Yeah, I mean, I do as well. I like Faraday just because they are dangerous as any team as it really gets. We've had a lot of players that played in our junior high game, Spencer, that were from Faraday, and now they're all starting for Faraday. So that's really cool. But I think it's just too much talent, too much athletes, and I think playing that schedule, that is one of the toughest districts that there is in the state. And when you have to play Mangum and Oak Grove and Washita Christian and all those guys. So I like Faraday to go on a run. I think they are my sleeper pick to make a really big run. Maybe a challenge for the Dome. So give me Faraday, but I think this is going to be the game in this bracket for sure to keep an eye on. And you just talked about Mangum, West St. John. Like I said, I'm going to go with Mangum as well, but West St. John, they won big over General Trask, which I think was a really impressive win. West St. John trying to get back to the old days when they were really winning and competing for championships. And what better way to really get back to doing it if they can find a way to pull off the upset against a team like Mangum. But Mangum's been really rolling this year, and it's going to be a tough hill to climb. Yeah,
Coach Scott Wiltshire with Mangum, he does a great job. I think the message for Mangum this year was kind of, they felt upset about the way last year ended. I mean, to go have a travel all the way down to South Blackman's and lose a close game like they did, I think it kind of lit a fire underneath some of those guys. And they've kind of been rolling throughout the year. They played Gina really close, which we'll talk about here shortly. They played, the likes of Oak Grove, OCS, Faraday. They're really battle tested coming into this, especially for Division IV non-select, which is kind of sometimes you'll see some teams get those high seeds because, hey, look, we beat up on all the other smaller teams against us, but then they get to that big time moment against a big time team from another area. Mangum has a 2-seed, though. I really like the Dragons here. This is going to be a good one, though. I'm excited to see what West St. John does over the next couple of years.
Well, we have a comment from Condrian Jackson, Plaquemine High football. Well, we're going to get to the Green Devils later in the show. But we're
not going to forget about the Green Devils.
We're still pretty early here, but we just finished Division IV non-select, and I'm going with Mangum as well. So we'll see how those matchups go in Division IV non-select. But any fans, if you're watching the show, make sure to comment. We want the fans to get involved. It makes the show better when you do get involved with the show. So feel free to comment, drop your comments. We'll show off your comments just like we did with Mr. Jackson right here. So yeah, make sure to leave your comments, and we'll talk about your team. If you want to brag about your team and their matchup, who they're playing against, all that. That is really good. So we want you to get involved, and those are the best shows when y'all can get involved as well. So we're going to go Division IV Select and break that one down. Division IV Select is pretty loaded, and this is when we start talking about some of those really great matchups. So here are your second round matchups in Division IV Select. It's going to be a rematch from earlier this year. Westminster Christian will take on, once again, like Haynesville, a very familiar opponent. Opelousas Catholic. Opelousas Catholic coming off a 35-7 win over Ascension Christian. St. Edmund, they're putting up points galore. They've done a lot this year. 62 points on Lincoln Prep. They'll take on Covenant Christian. That should be another great matchup. Should be a lot of points scored on the scoreboard. Ascension Catholic will take on St. Mary's. Had an upset on Thursday night. I actually covered that game on Thursday night as St. Mary's controlled that game really from start to finish against the St. John Eagles. And now they'll try to do that again against Ascension Catholic. How about another upset? So we got a little bit of more upsets in the last bracket, but Westminster Christian, how about that for the Chargers when they're getting a playoff victory, still pretty much in their infancy of the program. So great job there for Coach Gavin leading Westminster Christian to a 26-21 win over Sacred Heart. Now they'll take on Catholic Point Capee. Javon Vital and Hamilton Christian, after an undefeated season, first time in program history, they'll take on St. Frederick after St. Frederick gets a 49-6 win over Cedar Creek. Ascension Episcopal, after having a bye, will take on Kentwood after Kentwood got their revenge on Vermilion Catholic last week, 28-13. And man, what a matchup we got here for this matchup. Another intriguing 7 versus 10. Washita Christian, Southern Lab, a lot of championships combined when you add these two programs up. So we got a dome matchup pretty much in the second round. And then finally, we have Delta Charter, who gets an upset again over St. Martin's Episcopal without Harlem Berry, but great win for Delta Charter. They'll take on Riverside Academy, the number 2 seed. So Spencer, we had a lot more upsets here than the other bracket, and we want to talk about these playoff brackets and these playoff matchups. Westminster Christian, Opelousas Catholic, they obviously played in the district, and you talk to any coach in that district, they really believe that they have the best district in football in that 1A district. And these are two teams, you kind of throw records and seeds kind of out the window when you got two teams that are this familiar with each other. But it should be a great matchup. Westminster Christian, a historic season, number 1 seed, undefeated district champs, and you got a district opponent in their way from accomplishing once again another goal, and that's reaching the zone.
Yeah, Westminster Christian never made it past the second round. That was one thing that they kind of made it apparent that they've never done that before, and so to be the 1 seed, they've been the 1 seed before, I believe, or up there, and they didn't even make the second round. Then they got bounced out, I believe, that year by Delhi Charter. And this could be a very interesting matchup. When they played earlier this season, it was 24-22 Westminster won. It was close.
Yeah, it was close.
In this division, in this district, every game can be close on some teams' nights. I think it's just going to come down to who plays the best football. I lean Westminster right now, but I would not be surprised to see 16 seed Opelousas Catholic. I mean, that was a really close game. I'm pretty sure Westminster kicked a walk-off field goal to win that game.
I believe so.
Like, they were right there at the end of it, and they had to win, and it got away from them in the last seconds. I'm not going to be surprised if this Opelousas Catholic team can will themselves to a win and use that earlier season loss as kind of motivation for this one. But give me the Crusaders. I just think right now it's kind of a storybook thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the stars are aligned, right? Kyle Hord's having a great season. Stephen George, the quarterback, veteran quarterback. I think they just kind of building up to this moment with Coach Byron Porter, complimentary football team, and that's why they are undefeated. But yeah, we're going to see. We're going to see about that. I think it's going to be a great game. It can go either way. Like you mentioned, it was a 2-point victory for Westminster in the regular season. But I am going to lean towards Westminster. But it is awfully tough to be a really good team twice. So we'll see what happens there. But that should be a great game. And out of all the 16-1 matches, this might be the highest chance for a probability that a 16 can beat A1 if there is one. So, but that should be a great match between two district foes. Here we got Covenant Christian and St. Edmund. St. Edmund, we actually saw them against Westminster Christian. Coach Shane Shivers doing an awesome job with his team, and despite all the guys they had to replace last year, they're still breaking records offensively in terms of points and scoring. Meanwhile, Covenant Christian, remember they had the great regular season last year. Compared to last year, kind of flying under the radar a little bit, but still very dangerous. Got a really great quarterback on Trosclair as well. And Coach Jesse Turner does an awesome job with that team. So something tells me that there's going to be a lot of points on the scoreboard when both these two teams play.
Yeah, the saying is that defense travels. I don't know in this state if defense is going to travel at all based on what we've seen so far. We'll kind of talk about it a little later with the Westgate airline game, but that game was on the LHSA network, and I thought we did a great job with it, and we kind of saw that defense it might not travel at times, especially with how many points Westgate was able to put up. But going back to St. Edmund against Covenant Christian, this is another game, and I think this division, we honestly could be talking next week about a lot of lower seeds winning. Just because that one district has a lot of really good teams in it, and I think that's kind of might be the story of this one. I think St. Edmunds they can run the ball down your throat. And that can be really hard to stop at times, especially I know the weather's not getting colder yet, but I think eventually that could come into play. It kind of feels like we're maybe in spring right now with some of these weather days we're having. But I really like what Coach Shiver's done with that team. They were in that game against Westminster Christian a little bit in that fourth quarter. So give me St. Ed's in this one. I just like the way that they're playing right now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them go down to Nichols and knock off Covenant Christian.
I agree with you. Give me Coach Shiver. Give me St. Edmund. I think the stars align to have. It looks like Westminster might have to go through all their district opponents to get there, and I think that's what's going to happen here. Give me St. Edmund. That should set up another district matchup. Aiden Kuzo's comment, what about West Monroe? Neville, don't worry, Aiden. Stay tuned in because we'll talk about that game as we get towards or maybe that potential matchup as we get towards the end of the show. But we're on Division 4, just starting off the show, Division 4 Select. Ascension Catholic, talking about great running backs. Trevin Simon, I believe he is actually the state's leading rusher this year. Over 40 touchdowns scored this season. You got to go against St. Mary's. Spencer, I saw this team a lot last week in St. John, and they are a well-coached team. They don't have a lot of guys, maybe about 28 players, but man, they play hard, they play well together, and they can beat you with all kind of trick plays and with different guys. They got a great running back, great tight end, good quarterback, and their defense is really solid. So, it's going to be great to see. Can St. Mary's do it again? Can they go to Ascension Catholic this time and get the victory? Taylor James in his first year with Ascension Catholic, trying to get the Bulldogs to the Dome, but it's going to be tough for St. Mary's trying to be that Cinderella team in this bracket.
Yeah, I'll be honest, this upset caught my eye a little bit. 21 seed being able to beat a 12 seed, and St. Mary's obviously coming out and showing that, hey, look, we might be a 21 seed, but we'll beat you sometimes. This is kind of a big time matchup for St. Mary's to be in the second round as a 20 seed, a 20 plus seed. And we'll talk about the 20 seed that's in the second round here next. But Ascension Catholic, I think they're really good this year. I actually saw Coach James. I didn't say hi to him because he was locked into some volleyball as the Lady Bulldogs made a run to the semifinals in volleyball. But I really like at what he's done with Ascension Catholic this year. So, give me Ascension Catholic. I know they kind of beat St. John by a lot. Give me points too. A lot of points in this one.
Yeah, give me Ascension Catholic. I think St. Mary's, it was a great performance. I talked to Coach C. Strunk as well after the game. It was a big win. They don't look like a 5-5 team after seeing them play against St. John, but that is tough to do that again, to go back on the road, make the drive down the Baton Rouge area again and take on Ascension Catholic. It's going to be really tough. Going to run the football. Trevin Simon's an outstanding running back. They got a lot of explosive athletes, some weapons, a big O-line. So it's going to be a tough task for St. Mary's. Give me Ascension Catholic to move on and advance in the next round. I know we got a comment from Aiden again. Had y'all pass Washita Christian and Southern Lab? I'm going to watch the entire thing like I always do, LOL. So we haven't gotten there yet. We talked about that matchup was coming. We're about to break that down in about probably about a couple minutes. We'll go and break that one down because we know how big of a matchup that is. How about another team that's another 20 Plus, the Gavin Abear is doing an awesome job with Westminster Christian. It's been a great year if you're a Westminster Christian fan. Opelousas or Lafayette otherwise. But again, you're going to have to tough. You got the upset against Sacred Heart. A hard-fought win, 26-21 in the first round. Congratulations. You get Catholic Point Capee, who won that tough district we talked about last year. Got a great quarterback, great skill players as well. Jude Morrison coming back too. So they're going to be a dangerous team as well. Coach Caruth does an awesome job there at Catholic Point Capee. And, the whole city of Point Capee is going to be there. We know that. So for home field advantage. But what are your thoughts on this matchup? It's a great story for Westminster Christian. Can they keep that story going against Catholic Point Capee?
Yeah, Westminster Christian Lafayette, you kind of got to put the extra bit in there for
right.
them. But, Coach Gable has done a great job. I saw him earlier in the year when they took on Westminster, and, he told me they kind of beat up a little bit. But they played hard in that game, and that was what, mattered. And now it's that time of year, and they use that split back veer. Kind of that he was using at Acadiana, taking it there. I think that gets better as the year goes on. I think we saw that, against Sacred Heart. To beat a team in that district is really, really good. Not just that, but they beat a team that was kind of in the game against Catholic Point Capee. So could we see them continue on? I think with this district and how close it is, sometimes it's a coin flip. But being able to control the ball, and the game we'll talk about next, I think there could even be another upset. Being able to control the ball, I think, can do a lot. But right now, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Point Capee. Like you mentioned, Coach Caruth, he does a great job with that program, and that city loves football. And those are some tough kids out there at Point Capee. So give me the Hornets right now in this one, but don't overlook some of these lower seeds we're learning.
Yeah, right. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. Westminster wins that football game, and like you mentioned, what Coach did coming from Acadiana as the offensive coordinator, Coach Gable, and bringing that. Hey, if it works, win state championships. Hey, might as well bring it over, right? And that's what he's done at Westminster Christian Lafayette. But it wouldn't shock me. Westminster gets the win, but I'm going to go with Catholic Point Capee, and I think just some of that experience in those bigger games is going to help.
I will say that is their first playoff win over Sacred Heart. So that's huge. Like we're gonna have a couple of those, I think, throughout tonight that we'll talk about. They got their first playoff win, but congratulations to Westminster Lafayette. Even if you lose in this game, you won your first playoff game this year, and that's huge as a school to do that.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Coach Gable, for sure. We talked to him on the show a couple times, so great win for the Chargers of Westminster Christian Lafayette. And then we got Hamilton Christian St. Frederick, and Hamilton Christian, Javon Vital. What you have to say about that? He's just you go pick your Madden player, like he's basically that. I mean, but they got a lot of great players on that team, but obviously this team's going to go where Javon Vital is going to take them. But hey, St. Frederick, a tough team up in North Louisiana. Hamilton Christian better be ready. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, when I kind of saw this game, I'm not going to get too much into it, but there's a lot of outside noise surrounding that Hamilton Christian program.
Right, sure.
There's certainly is a lot that has gone on, and I bet it's kind of going to be a tough week for them. There's a lot of outside noise. This is a St. Frederick team that can control the clock. Coach Osborne there. This is kind of like, we saw it against Cedar Creek. Everything was clicking for them. They were putting up points like you couldn't believe. That was a really big matchup. Them and Cedar Creek, it felt like that could be a little 1A, 1B type of thing. But, controlling the clock, I think, can be important when the guy on the other side of the field that's going to be running it down your throat could run it in almost any play, Javon Vital. I'm going back and forth in my mind, Jace. These games are so close.
Yeah,
I see a lot of these lower seeds pulling these upsets. I'm gonna go Hamilton Christian. I think they've got the capacity to block out that outside noise.
Yeah,
I think they can do it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Warriors end up in the quarterfinals.
I wouldn't either. Talking about how well coached they are up in St. Frederick and Monroe, but I think just like the athletes, I mean, the players will eventually take over the games, and I'm going to see Javon. I can see Javon taking over this game at home. So it's going to be a great atmosphere. This is the best season what Coach Dexter Washington's doing. He's trying to replicate their success on the court, on the basketball court, winning state championships there. They're trying to do the same thing on the gridiron, and they got a great team this year. And I think Javon Biles in 1A. The best player is going to take over, and I think that's what's going to be the case here. Give me Hamilton Christian to move on to the next round. Kentwood Ascension Episcopal. Now that is going to be an interesting game as well. We talk about all these games that I can see the lowest team win this game, and Kentwood coming off a big win over Vermilion Catholic. Obviously, they were a favorite going into the season. This was a semifinal team last year for Kentwood. We all know there's championship pedigree. Ascension Episcopal has achieved a lot of success, but I'm not sure you're leaning towards here, Spencer. But I can kind of sense an upset here too.
Rematch of last year's game. Because they played in the second round, and Kentwood beat them 42-16. And Kentwood was the traveling team as well. It's been an up-down year, though, for Kentwood. Kind of had their bumps, especially the start of the year. We mentioned them earlier, but Eastvale beat them at the start of the year. Then they lost to Jules Sumner. Both of them obviously turned out to be some pretty good teams. They lost to A-Meet. They lost to Southern Lab. So it's kind of been a up-and-down year, but I think those are kind of teams that if Kentwood loses to, if they're in those games, which they have been, I think you still say this is a pretty decent Kentwood team. Obviously in the first round, having to play against the defending state champs, obviously not the same as they were last year, but, to be able to kind of handle a Vermilion Catholic team that's tough, that's always going to be well coached. I think that shows a lot. I think upsets wise, I don't want to pick all upsets down the board, but I think this is one that the 11-6, it's kind of two teams that sometimes can match up, and it's going to be a good matchup. And I like Kentwood in this one to advance to the quarterfinals.
I do as well. Like their athletes, I think they're getting good at the right time late in the season. So give me Kentwood. And like you mentioned, they did play last year in the playoffs, and I think they're going to get it done once again. So familiar opponents, you have to play Vermilion Catholic in the first round. You got to play Ascension Episcopal, two teams that you're familiar with. Casey Ray commenting here, have you done Division IV non-select? Yes. We have Casey, and I know what team that you're definitely keeping your eye on. We know is the Jonesboro Hodge Tigers, and talk about Dakota as well. We talked about him earlier in the show, but after the show is live, you can go back and watch that at the beginning. Just to spoil it for you, I did go for your Tigers. I did pick your Tigers. Now Spencer, on the other hand, he went against y'all, but hey, use that as bulletin board material. So just to help feel y'all even more. So there's your answer, Casey, if you want to go back and watch that earlier. But we did talk about Jonesboro Hodge, and I did pick the Tigers, though. So there you go.
You're burying me lower and lower, man. You're just continuing to bury me. Yeah. Nah, this guy chose against everyone.
Yeah, just like
everything you want, just blame this guy.
He was going to find out anyway, Spencer, so might as well try to break it down gently. All right. And then this is the matchup that Aiden.
Wait, Jace, who are you picking? Who are you picking? Kentwood?
Oh yeah. Good point.
I got over the ruse.
That is true. Good point. I got Kentwood. I'm in agreement with you here. Spencer. I like Kentwood. And just their, just the pedigree, them going to deep playoff runs, state championships. Some of these teams, Southern Lab, Kentwood, that before the season we had them going. It's been kind of a rocky up and down season for them too. But I think at the end, that's why we picked them in the beginning of the season. I think they want to show their true mark in the postseason. So I got Kentwood advancing and getting the upset there. All right, so here is a game that we usually see in the Superdome, Spencer, but we'll take it. We'll take that in the second round. Usually we get these two teams playing each other a lot later on in the playoffs. Aiden comment, Washtenaw Christian has lost to Southern Lab 3 years in a row, but I still want to hear what you got to say. Like you mentioned, I think it was a crazy game. Dylan Day, he was at the Miami commit. And what that Washtenaw Christian was going to win the game. And then they threw the ball right to Dylan Day, which is not the best plan. And Dylan Day ran back for the touchdown. Southern Lab would go to the Superdome and eventually win the state championship. I think that's the last time these two teams have played. But yeah, Washtenaw Christian, Luke Vadrine's having a great season for the Eagles. Obviously, Stephen Fitu, he knows what it takes to get to the Dome every single year. But so does Coach Daryl Asbury as well over there. Yep, Southern Lab won. Aiden said 38-34 in 2023. Yeah, so
Yep.
that
I
was
remember
that
that game pretty vividly.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And going back to it, Southern Lab again, like you said, Spencer, I think earlier on the show, or maybe the last show, that this was a team that you had favorite to win a state championship or go really deep. And I think that they're getting healthy. Jerry Botley, their quarterback, who's going to be one of our guys playing in a gridiron game, but the Delaware State commit, he's back healthy. And I think this is a different team with him in the starting lineup, so that can make them scary. So who do you think here? You got two powerhouse football programs, two teams that won a lot of state championships, two state championship winning coaches. Who are you leaning here?
You put me on the spot and make me go first. Oh boy. I saw OCS play in the Bayou Jamboree. I've kind of kept up with their season this year. I've talked with Coach Fitzhugh a couple times. That Week 10 game, I think sometimes you want to go into the playoff in the right mindset. And I think losing that Week 10 game against Oak Grove might have honestly lit a fire under some of these guys. You go into the playoffs sometimes undefeated, and you're kind of like, we're on top of the world, we're unbeatable, and that first loss can hurt. So having that happen in Week 10 might honestly be something that could have helped the Eagles. Now, Southern Lab's getting healthy at the right time. They're putting up points like you can't believe. This is so difficult. I predicted at the start of the year that I thought Southern Lab would be in the dome, and I thought they would eventually be our champions. Obviously, it hasn't really gone the way that they wanted it to. They would still really play a tough schedule for a 1A school, but give me the home team in this one. It's a long travel, so give me Ouachita Christian in this one. I like what the Eagles have done, and I like how their chances of going back to the dome this year.
We got another comment here from Aiden. Appreciate all the comments, Aiden, and your involvement with the show. Let's see. OCS hasn't played any comp all season. Played Oak Grove, and they lose. First comp game, they lost by a large margin. That's why I lean Lab. But, yeah, I mean, you got that point, but maybe that's just something to wake up the team as well. I mean, you play Oak Grove, that rivalry game at the end of the season, and maybe it's like, hey, maybe that's just a wake teams up, wake them up. I would actually lean towards Southern Lab here, but I don't love the road trip. I don't love the road trip going up all the way to Ouachita Christian and play that football game. If this game was played at Southern Lab, I'd probably lean Southern Lab. But I'm willing to go with Ouachita Christian. I trust Coach Fitzhugh enough and the team to perform at home. A great atmosphere. It's going to be a great football game. Like I mentioned, I think Southern Lab is getting healthy at the right time to get Jerry Botley back at quarterback. I think they're going to give Ouachita Christian all they can handle. It's going to be once again another classic game as well. And I think Ouachita Christian also remembers that game. You got a lot of seniors that were sophomores that time with the Dillon Day finish, and I think that memory still rests pretty recent in mind. So I'm going to go with Ouachita Christian. I think I trust Coach Fitzhugh here in the spot, but this could go either way. Would not shock me whatsoever if Southern Lab gets it done, because these are two championship programs. And but see what y'all think about that. Let's see, Delta Charter and Riverside Academy. And Riverside Academy, they're kind of like my trendy pick, Spencer, to win it all as a number 2 seed. They met Southern Lab in the state championship game 2 years ago. Delta Charter coming up, another upset. This is just a loaded bracket, top to bottom, as they took care of St. Lawrence Episcopal. But Riverside Academy, you got Boogie Johnson, you got Brock Bourgeois. You got a lot of talented athletes there that are only like 8th grade, 9th graders, but can all play. Yeah, Riverside is a pretty loaded team, and they don't really have too many, I guess, questions on their team.
Yeah, Delta Charter, a really big win for them over St. Martin's to go on the road like that and beat a team down in New Orleans. It's a good starter for you in the playoffs. But this Riverside Academy team is different, man. They are really, really good, and especially this low in divisions wise. They're really, really good this year, and I think they'll probably handle business pretty easily against Delta Charter, and then that sets up a fun quarterfinal game. They got to play Ouachita Christian or Southern Lab in the quarterfinals. This bottom little part of the bracket is so stacked, so that will be fun to watch. But yeah, give me the Rebels.
Yeah, this is just a loaded bracket. Like we talked about it when this bracket was released, that there can be like 8, 9, 10 teams that could win it, and you told me that they win it, I wouldn't be shocked. It just comes to show you how loaded this bracket, this division is. So, guys, we just finished Division 4. If you want to see our breakdowns after the show, you can go back and watch them. I'll even post the timestamps where you can go back and watch this after the fact. We're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about Division 3. But I want to say Tommy's Windows, a proud sponsor of Ballin the Boot. If you need to get your doors, windows, gutters changed, make sure to go to Tommy's. Give them a call, 225-250-8808, or go Tommy's. That's GEAUX Tommy's.com. Go and call Tommy's and visit Tommy and his gang, and you'll see the difference clearly. We'll be right back after the words of our sponsor.
20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Welcome back, guys. We're back to Ball in the Boot. This is going to be Division 3, non-select and select. We'll go over. Jace will join alongside Spencer Verrett with the LHSA Network. And Spencer, we're going to go right to it. Let's see if I can share the stage or share the screen once again. We'll go back to Division 3. We're going to talk about Division 3 non-select as our next bracket to look at. So before we break down these matchups, here are your second round matchups. Number 1, Gina, after having the bye, they'll take on St. Helena, who made a statement against Avoyelles, 58-26 in the first round. And then you have the 8 versus 9 seed. You have Mansfield taking on Marksville. 8 versus 9 should be a great matchup. Both teams won their games in similar scoring margin. ERAF having a great season, undefeated season. They just defeated Bogalusa 56-0. Intriguing second round matchup against Union Parish, who's coming off a 41-18 win over Rayville. Then we have Kaplan with an upset as well in the first round, defeating Pine. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming, but Kaplan gets a 33-18 win over Pine. They'll take on undefeated Kinder in the second round. St. James will try and get back to the Superdome. Their first challenge will be Manny. Manny trying to get back to the Manny of old when they were really rolling under Jess Curtis. They're coming off a close win against a really good Red River team, 35-27 over the Bulldogs. Richwood, they will take on Oak Grove. Richwood coming off a 40-20 win over Caldwell. Meanwhile, Oak Grove coming off a 47-0 win over Port Allen. Laurelville and Church Point. Laurelville 28-6 over Ville Platte. Meanwhile, Church Point with a 42-7 win over North Webster. And then finally, you have Donaldsonville, who shut out Westlake 18-0. Guess what your prize is? You got to take on number 2 Sterlington. So those are the Division 3 non-select matchups. So Spencer, let's go to the top and let's talk about the number 1 overall seed, Gina. They sat on their couch. They enjoyed it. They stood back and watched, and now they're kind of thinking, ooh, we got a dangerous team that we got to play in the second round with St. Helena, because that was a statement what St. Helena did, winning that football game 58-26 over Avoyelles. St. Helena has proven to beat some really good teams. They have defeated East Feliciana earlier this year. So, But Gina's a different challenge. Coach Roark's doing a great job with his team. They're trying to get over that semifinal hump after making their a season to go, number 1 seed. 2 great running backs in Cedric Wilson and Daniel Hatcher. But can St. Helena make this interesting, or will Gina roll right here?
Yeah, you sit on your couch and you're watching St. Helena and Vols, and you're probably like, oh my goodness, the St. Helena team, they've got athletes. They're well coached by DeCarlos Holmes, who's obviously had a lot of success in some different areas. But this is the 1 seed Gina Giants, and I think they've had a lot of success this year. I'm going to right now go with Gina, but I'm going to go with Gina, and the game's probably going to have about maybe around 100 points or so. I think the one concern I have with Gina is their defense this year. I think since the start of the year, that's kind of been a problem that people have known about. But what's been good for them so far is for every team that's kind of been close with them in terms of offense, they've been able to put up about 20 more points on offense to kind of separate them. So give me a lot of points in this one, especially with St. Helena just scoring 58 the week prior. Yeah. But I do like Gina at home.
Me too. I like Gina this year as well. They were rolling this year. They've been averaging almost 50 points a game. They've been really rolling this year. Like I mentioned, Hatcher and Wilson's been a great duo for them. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game, but I just trust Gina's defense to get a couple more stops than St. Helena's. So I'm gonna go with Gina, but pick the over, folks, because it's going to be a high-scoring game between the 2 teams. So give me the Gina Giants. Move on to the second round. Marksville and Mansfield, 2 really good defenses. Really, if you look in the mirror, a lot of similarities with these 2 teams, Mansfield and Marksville. Obviously, look at the scoreboard last week. Marksville beat Patterson 48-14. Mansfield defeats Winfield 42-12. So, Coach Harper's doing a great job with his team as well. Mansfield getting back to their winning ways as well. So it is going to be interesting to look at this game and what could happen. But there's a reason why it's an 8 versus 9 seed. So 2 evenly matched teams right here. If you look at it, and Mansfield 8-2, Marksville 8-2. It is clearly an 8-9 matchup, and this can go either way.
Yeah, and you look at the first round scores. Their first round scores are pretty much right there next to each other as well. So there's a lot of similarities in these 2 teams. But I think the difference on the day is going to be Marksville and some of the players that they bring. Lavallee at quarterback, Benjamin at wide receiver. Those are both guys that we not just have seen star on the football field, but Benjamin was obviously at a Vols public charter winning basketball state championships.
Yeah.
So this is going to be not the time to roll out the basketballs just yet for the Marksville Tigers. I think they're gonna win this game over Mansfield. I think they'll set up a rematch with Gina, which I think that would be a very fun quarterfinal game. So give me Marksville, the Tigers. Even though they're on the road, I like Marksville.
I like Marksville as well, just like you mentioned with Lavallee. Like in some of these close matchups like this on paper, you're going to tend to lean towards the players. So, and that's why I agree with you. I agree with Lavallee. She's a great dynamic athlete. They got some great defensive players, Jace Warren, Travis Palmer as well on the defensive side of the football. Give me Coach Harper and give me Marksville, because I can see those stars aligning, Gina and Marksville playing against each other in that next round. So give me Marksville to get the victory over Mansfield. So I do agree with you there as well. This is intriguing as too, because I really like this ERAF football team. Jack Landry, he's actually one of the quarterbacks we'll be seeing in their Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game. What a season he's had. This is the first time that ERAF has had an undefeated regular season in the program's history. And congratulations, after winning the first round, you got to take on Union Parish. But even though it's not the normal Union Parish team we've seen in years past with Coach Spatafora, still, this is a team that's made a lot of runs. I think they made it to the Dome 4 years in a row, 5 years in a row, or something like that. They know how to get there. They have the formula to get there. And you got an ERAF team, a lot of seniors. We'll talk about Jack Landry, but a lot of seniors on this football team that this is their chance to get on that run. But can they do that against a team, even though a little down this year, still a lot of experience dealing with these playoff runs?
Yeah, this is a game that a lot of people have talked about. Union's obviously their Union. They've got a lot of playoff experience and being able to make runs to the semifinals and to the domes. But you mentioned this isn't the Union Parish of normal.
Yeah.
And this is not the ERAF, I guess, of normal. This is an
Mhm.
ERAF team that's doing things that have never been done before. I've loved to see what Coach LeBlanc's done with that program. I think the key is to playing Union is to match their toughness and their physicality. And I think ERAF can do that. I think they want to
Mhm.
do that. I think they have set a lot of the games they've played, they've set the bar for the physicality, and so the teams just haven't been able to match that. So I like ERAF to go into this game at home. I think Big Blue Nation is going to show out. I think ERAF's going to get the win and advance to the quarterfinals. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a really
No.
tight game. Union's obviously going to control the clock, but I like ERAF to match and maybe even be better in that physicality department.
Yeah, like this is a team that's won different ways. It's not just Jack Landry. When they need to be physical and run the football, they can. Their defense needs to step up, they can. That you need to be that type of team to go undefeated, and that's what ERAF has done last year. I wouldn't say it was flukish, but they did win a lot of close games last year, that 9-1 record. But you could tell it was another year with these guys coming back. You knew that they're going to put it all together, having that experience from last year. I have ERAF going to the Dome, so I'm not going to pick against them now. So I'm going to go with ERAF right here. But, I mean, I feel really confident. If they can get through this Union Parish game, I'm really confident in them going in that run. So give me ERAF, but it should be a great game. Coach Spatafora is going to definitely give them a really great challenge there. So we want to talk about Kinder and Kaplan. Kaplan, like I said, not a lot of people saw that upset. Pines had a great season this year. Bradley still does a great job. And Kaplan, despite with what they had to deal with before the season, trying to find a new coach at the start of the season. What a job this coaching staff has done this year at Kaplan, trying to replace Coach Loteef at the beginning of the year. And they win a playoff game against Pine. Now you got to go against Kinder, who's having himself a great year. They got a great quarterback as well as a playmaker too. And Kinder's going to be really dangerous as well. They're undefeated too. Potentially you can see two undefeated teams play in that quarterfinal matchup. But does Kaplan ruin it like they did against Pine?
I don't think they do. This is a Kinder team that is 10-0. They're 10-0 for a reason. They've won these games. They've won them pretty comfortably. I'm a little worried after this round, maybe on their strength of schedule and how that's going to play off come that quarterfinal time. But respect to Kaplan, they've had a really, really good year this year. Knocking off Pine in the playoffs is huge to do that on the road. But I think this Kinder team's a different animal. And give me Kinder to stay alive, I guess you could say. I mean, I know they're a 4 seed, but it is technically staying alive in the playoffs at this rate. It's win or go home.
Yeah, if you win a playoff game, you're good. So you can't just overlook your opponent. Isaiah Thomas. We talk a lot about Jack Landry, but Isaiah Thomas is a great playmaker at quarterback, and a lot of people don't really get the chance to know him. But maybe he gets to make a name for himself in his playoff run. It's a big reason why Kinder has had the undefeated season like they've had this year. Be pretty cool. Get two teams like Kinder and ERAF, if they can get it done, meet up in the quarterfinals. St. James, look at that bottom side of the bracket. St. James and Manny. Manny has been a bounce back year for them and won a playoff game. It's been a tough year the last couple of years after trying to replace Jess Curtis and all those championships and those great teams. And they're trying to get back to that. So a good start when you can beat Red River in the first round. But man, do they got a tall task in that second round against St. James. St. James fell in the state championship game the last 2 years. So they got a lot of motivation, not only to get back, but to win, but still really young, but a lot of great talent. Probably in terms of skill talent, they probably have the best skill talent in the state in this bracket. So what do you see here? Do you see St. James moving along and rolling against Manny, or do you think Manny gets some trouble?
I don't know if Manny can really contend with St. James. That win over Red River is huge. To lose to them in the regular season and then to turn around and beat them in the playoffs is huge. And to do it at home as well. But I think this is a different team that you're about to go against. You're about to see some difference in your first round to your second round games. I like St. James at home. I like St. James to make a really good run this year. So give me St. James. No problems I'll have with Manny.
But you have a comment here, Condarian. Y'all got the Plaquemine division yet? We haven't got the Plaquemine yet. Trust me, we'll get those green doubles. That will be Division Division two non-select. So we'll get that probably after our next commercial break. We'll get to it. But we have I got St. James as well. Jawan Jackson is a quarterback at St. James, a great talented quarterback. Villanova, Jacaius Villanova, you just kind of put him everywhere and just give him the football and see what he does with it. A really great running backs as well. They got a lot of skill weapons there. And like you mentioned, too much firepower for Manny to contend with. Obviously got St. James moving on to the next round. Richwood and Oak Grove, talking about that game as well. Richwood, how about, I think, contention for one of the most improved teams from last year. I think Richwood only won one game last year, and this year, you look at it, they host a playoff game, they win, they beat Caldwell. Talked to James Taylor. I know he helps us a lot with their gridiron football bowl game, and he's a defensive coordinator, and they're really confident they can match up with Oak Grove. So they're really confident they can. But you got Oak Grove, who's won 4 of the last 5 state championships they've contended for, and now they're trying to make it 5 or 6. So is it too much for Richwood to handle? Is Oak Grove going to move on, or do you think James Taylor's got something going on? The defense coordinator making that claim that hey, they can contend with Oak Grove.
Yeah, I really like this game. This is a good Monroe kind of area matchup. Richwood's had a really good year. You kind of mentioned, I think Jake Martin mentioned it as the feel-good story of the year. I think this is, they went, Coach Geis has done a great job with that program, kind of turning them around. And, you kind of read what Jake kind of said in the Ouachita Citizen. Coach Geis wants his guys to have a seat at the table. So that's why they've been playing those tougher teams. They played Mangum at the start of the year, which both teams have lost to Mangum. I think Oak Grove's coming on at the right time. I think they'll get this win, but it's going to be close. I like it to be a 1-score, 2-score game in the fourth quarter, and it to stay that way, and it's going to be really close. And I'm excited to see what the future of Richwood is. They've got a great running back in Kane, and he obviously helped them out a lot in that first-round game against Caldwell. But I just think Oak Grove's going to have too much for him at this time, but Richwood's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, so we have another. I love how Aiden is getting involved as well. This is what we want the show to be. We want the fans to chime in and talk about these games as well. The last time we saw Oak Grove take on a team from this parish, we witnessed an impressive, dominant performance that saw the Tigers beat Ouachita Christian in all 3 phases. And that's a powerful, lasting image from Week 10. But Richwood is on the heater, so you kind of talk about it. You kind of see the name, you see Oak Grove, and say, "Oh, yeah, you got Oak Grove. They're going to move on." I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think Richwood's going to make it really tough on Oak Grove. But like I said, that experience of winning these state championships, these seniors know what it takes to win these big games. I got Oak Grove because that's what they've done. They won 4 championships in 5 years. Give me Oak Grove to advance and move on to the next round. So Chase says, yo. I say yo back to Chase. So I appreciate Chase commenting on the show. All right, Spencer. So we're going to go into Laurelville and Church Point here. Laurelville coming off a 28-6 win over Ville Platte. Church Point, Jerrison Reese, another name to keep an eye on. He's a dynamic playmaker for the Bears as well. Chase says go Richwood. Yep. Richwood's got a good shot. They really do. I mean, you kind of look at the teams and say Richwood and Oak Grove move on to the next round. But, I mean, Oak Grove, Richwood's got a good shot. But going back to Laurelville and Church Point, Laurelville has had some crazy wins this year, come from behind wins. Coach Martin does a good job with them. Coach Poole does a great job with Church Point. Church Point's also one of those teams has had a lot of regular season success, trying to get that playoff success as well. This is an evenly matchup, obviously the game at home at Laurelville. This game can go either way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I actually just got done going to Laurelville. That was one of the games I went to last Friday night. The Tiger Den, that place is awesome. That's small town football at its best right there. They're packed every single week with fans, and it's not even like it's just family that's showing up. It's like the community shows up, and that's something I still love to see. And Church Point's the same exact way. The last time I went to Church Point was actually on Halloween night, so that's why I wasn't surprised there wasn't too many people there, but I think this is going to be a great game between 2 Lafayette area teams. Laurelville's having a good year. Church Point's obviously got some stars, like you mentioned, Reese. Yeah. Their quarterback's really good as well. 7-10 matchup. When I think things are kind of even, I'll normally lean the home team on this one, but give me Church Point in this one. I like the Ballin Bears. I like what they're doing this year with Reese. Hopefully, last time I was there, he was dealing with a little bit of an injury with his ankle, but I was there Halloween night, so we've almost had a month since then. So hopefully he's healed up by now. But it'd be fun to watch. This is going to be a great game. But yeah, I like the Battle of Bears.
Yep. Early on, I actually picked Louisville, but this is one of those games I thought about more and more. I mean, at the beginning of the bracket, I thought more and more about, and I actually leaned towards Church Point, like you mentioned. I mean, I think you kind of lean towards those big playmakers to make their impact, and you got two closely matched teams, and I feel like this could be a Jerison Reese type of game as well. So give me Church Point. I think they're trying to break through, get that deep playoff run. I think they can do that. So this is going to go either way. It's going to be a close game. It can go either way. That's why it's a 7-10 seed matchup. But I'm gonna agree with you. Give me Church Point to win that game. Oak Grove also has to worry about Jalen Kane. Yeah, he's actually one of our Gridiron Football Player of the Week nominees, Spencer. So this week he rushed for 281 yards and 4 touchdowns in their win. So yeah, he's on a heater right now running the football. So that's a guy that need to pay attention to Jalen Kane, and you can go vote for him. By the way, if you're watching the show, go to gridironfootballusa.com and vote for him because he is one of our nominees for Player of the Week. So go and support him there too.
I need to go to gridironfootballusa.com and then submit my vote for the Player of the Week. Yeah, right after we're done with this.
There you go. Yeah, get your vote for sure, Spencer, for him as well. Sterlington, Donaldsonville. We talked about a lot of games going over. I would probably pick the under here when we talk about both these two teams. They're hard smash mouth football teams. The Caleb Green for Donaldsonville is a freak on the edge for Donaldsonville. They shut out a pretty talented offense in Westlake and just hold them out the end zone. They got a good quarterback and to shut them out was pretty impressive. But Sterlington, talk about them as well. Lee Doty, the head coach over there at Sterlington and the championships and the pedigree there. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things when you play Sterlington, it's like it's intimidating because they got 100 players on their sidelines. They have that championship pedigree. They're tough, physical. You're going to have to beat Sterlington. But this is going to be a physical football game, that's for sure.
Yeah, a big win for Donaldsonville in round 1 over Westlake. But there's levels to this. Sterlington is that pedigree name that you want. Aiden just mentioned in number 2, Sterlington will likely flex on number 15, Donaldsonville. Yeah, I agree with you, Aiden. This Sterlington team's got a lot back from last year that won a state championship. I think they'll make it tough for Donaldsonville, who's got a long trip up there. So give me the Panthers at home to win this one, and I think they'll start to put together a good run back to the Superdome.
I agree. It's kind of like you can picture Sterlington, St. James. We talked about it. There were a lot of people saying it won't be shot depending on where the brackets are. We can see that matchup like every year in the dome. But here, they're on the same side of the bracket. So there's a good chance to see that matchup in the semifinals. So I think we're on a collision course to see both St. James and Sterlington. I think Sterlington rolls here too. Too much for Donaldsonville to try to overcome there. Sterlington's going to roll in this football game. I really like what Coach Lee's doing at Donaldsonville, but I just don't really see this game really being close. I got Sterlington big against Donaldsonville. So that is Division 3. We're done Division 3 non-select, and we're going to go to Division 3 select. Just like Division 4 select, it's pretty loaded. And we're going to talk about these second-round playoff matchups. We have LCA, the number 1 seed in Division 3 select. They obviously have the bye. They deserve the bye for sure after the schedule and how they look this year. They'll take on Parkview Baptist. Congratulations, Coach Cody, getting the win over D'Arbonne Woods Charter, 42-28. You got the defending state champions in Division 3 select, Catholic New Iberia, all over Glen Oaks, 52-0. They'll take on Bunkie, who had a first-round bye. Dunham, Elijah Haven and company, they'll start their playoff push against Northlake Christian. Northlake Christian, Cameron Casnave and company get a 59-20 win over St. Louis Catholic. We got Holy Savior Menard shutting out Thomas Jefferson. They'll take on Isidore Newman. Game will be played at Newman. Jules Sumner will take on Slaughter Charter. Slaughter Charter, they got all they can handle with Pope John Paul. Have to survive that game 21-17. Now they're going to have to take on an undefeated Jules Sumner team that's rolling this year. Barry Park Country Day. Calvary Baptist, we'll talk about that game, but pick the over for sure. There's going to be some points in that football game. Game will be played at Calvary Baptist. Lafayette Renaissance gets a bye. They'll take on Amy. Amy gets a 59-20 win over Cohen. Yeah, unfortunately, I called this game for Episcopal, but it was domination from De La Salle, 45-14, and could be intriguing as they'll take on number 2 Notre Dame. So those are your second round matchups in Division III Select. Obviously, we want to talk about the top matchup, right? Lafayette Christian, Parkview Baptist. Parkview Baptist, Coach Cody's over there trying to bring that historic tradition back to Parkview. Meanwhile, LCA is on a roll. They're 9-1 this year, and they probably had the toughest. You probably one of the toughest schedules in the state this year. Only loss was to Archbishop Shaw. If you kind of look at all the games they played, but Brandon Walker, Brandon Allen, Luke Green, Cam Ballard, all these guys, LCA is just really tough, and obviously they definitely looking like a number 1 seed. Is there going to be a little bit of a rust here with the bye potentially, or LCA is going to be rolling here?
It's not just a bye, but they also had that week 10 as well that they had the forfeit from Lake Arthur. So they've had 2 weeks off, but if there's a team that's ready for 2 weeks off and get ready to get back playing some football, it's LCA. This is a really good team. I like what Coach Ducote's doing at Parkview. I think he's leading them in the right direction. This is just one of those years where the 1 seed is the 1 seed for a reason. And I think that this LCA team actually, when I was reading about this and kind of looking at it, but the Catholic League has only lost 1 game, I'm pretty sure, up to this point, other than beating each other. I think the only team that has taken a game off of Catholic League opposition is LCA. Yeah. Fact check me if I'm wrong on this. We'll be able to fact check it later on, but LCA is a really good team, so give me the Knights.
Yeah, too much LCA Knights power here. I mean, offense, defense. I saw them in person this year against Karen Crow, and they looked really impressive. They don't really have a lot of weaknesses on their team, and when they put it together, they're probably a top 5 team in the state, regardless of classification. That's how good this team can be. So give me LCA. Really bad matchup there for Parkview Baptist. Got LCA rolling in this one. Really intriguing matchup, Spencer. Catholic New Iberia. Nobody saw that coming last year. Catholic New Iberia going on that run and winning the state championship, beating Newman, beating Calvary, and then beating Dunham on that run last year. But hey, I mean, they've done it before. I mean, they're not going to be intimidated by this road to the dome again. But they'll take on Bunkie. Everybody thought kind of after losing Kyle Johnson and Dylan Compton that, oh, there goes Bunkie. There goes their 2-year run. But they're back once again. An incredible coaching job this year from Coach Jimmy Hellman. Zion Lee, the Navy commit, I don't want anything to do with him trying to tackle that dude. I can tell you that for sure. But a lot of great players for Bunkie, a part of that great 3-year run. The game is at Bunkie, but this is a really intriguing matchup between Bunkie's having an impressive 3-year run and Catholic New Iberia. Look at them as the defending state champs.
Yeah, I think all of these 8-9 matchups are really good this year. There's some really good teams. Catholic New Iberia, the defending state champ, it's kind of, I was saying I felt bad for Glen Oaks when I was out there on Friday night. You get in the playoffs, you sneak in, and your reward, you get to play the defending state champs in round 1, and they gave it to them. But Bunkie, this is still a good Bunkie team. You kind of mentioned a little bit. Coach Hillman's done a good job with this Bunkie squad. This is still really good. This is Big Red taking on Big Red. Yeah. They both kind of represent Big Red. So I'm excited to see what happens with this one. I like Bunkie at home, though. I think Catholics maybe got a little bit of a couple injuries from last week that I think could come back to bite them here on the road. But I like Bunkie at home.
I agree with you. Give me Bunkie. I think it's going to be a really great game. I think Bunkie's going to lean on the ground game. Zion Lee, their defense is really good, and I think they're going to find a way to grind out a victory. It's going to be a well-played football game. But give me Bunkie. They're rolling right now. I know Catholic New Iberia had a great game against Glen Oaks. I know Owen Morris, they have a really good running back as well. He had 5 touchdowns in that game. He's also a Gridiron Football Player of the Week, so might as well, hey, you can go and vote for Owen if you want on our website. But I'm going to take Bunkie. Aiden's got a comment here. I take Bunkie because their offense is rolling right now, and they've already shown they can dominate physical teams. Captain New Iberia is tough, but Bunky's momentum gives them the edge. I agree there. Give me Bunky. We've already had one defending state champion go down last week, Vermilion Catholic. I think we'll see our second one here, Catholic New Iberia.
Yeah, and you mentioned Owen Morris earlier. He gave me a good scare on Friday night. I think his second touchdown run, he ran right into my camera and was like right here. And I was like looking through the little lens, and I went, "Oh goodness, you're right there!" And kind of made me take the camera away for a second. So, but he's a really good running back. I just think the Panthers, I guess Bunky, because they're both the Panthers. I think Bunky's just going to be too much for him.
I agree.
It's going to be a good one though. That's going to be a good game.
It is going to be a really good game. It's definitely going to live up to the hype as well. And I think I like the home crowd there for Bunky too, being a home game. Okay, so we have Dunham and Northlake Christian. Northlake Christian's got a great running back in Cameron Casnave. They had a great win over St. Louis Catholic, but man, they're going to run into a buzzsaw right now in Dunham. Elijah Haven, everybody knows about him, the number one quarterback in the country in the 2027 class. But I think what makes this team even more impressive, their offense is good. Yeah, they got great receivers. They got Elijah Haven, but their defense is really top notch. And I think their defense deserves a lot of credit. When you got that defense rolling and you got the number one quarterback in the country on your side, Dunham, of course, is going to make a run at this thing.
Yeah, this is a really good Dunham team. I mean, this is a team that coming in, we all kind of thought they were going to be at the top of this division. We knew LCA would be good as well, so we knew it was kind of them two at the top. Mm-hmm. They ended up as a 5 seed. I don't know if Northlake's going to be able to do much to keep up with Dunham. I don't think it will get ugly, but I think Dunham will put up a lot of points, and it's going to be up to Northlake to match that. So I like the Tigers at home. They're back at Dunham Stadium, which got some renovations, and it's a really good place to go watch a football game. So I like the Tigers at home.
Yeah, I like what Coach Wills is doing over there at Northlake Christian. I've seen them play in person against Episcopal this year. Casnave is a great running back, but Dunham, I'm gonna go with Dunham here. I think, be honest with you, since covering Neil Weiner's Dunham teams and being close to it, I think this is his best team. I think this is the best Dunham team that he's had. So I think they're going to go on a run here. They were in the Dome last year. Give me Dunham. Aiden's putting his comments here in every game. I like the breakdown here, Aiden, on all these games. He says I lean towards Dunham, experience and coming off a near championship in 2024. Northlake Christian is solid, but their offense is godly, especially on offense with quarterback Elijah Haven. Yeah, I mean, when you got Elijah Haven on your side, you can definitely make a run. All right. Let's see what we got next. We got Holy Savior Menard and Newman. A great shutout from their defense over there. Holy Savior Menard really pitching a shutout against Thomas Jefferson. But you're going to try to do that again against Jake Randall and Newman. And ever since they made the move to put Randall in at quarterback, it's been a different Newman football team this year. So it's going to be really great to see what Newman can do with Aaron Weiss, former U High offensive coordinator, leading the charge. And it was a slow start to the season, but I think when they picked up, I'm not going to blame it on just having Coach Weiss on their show when they won against Riverdale. But ever since they got that win, the season has really turned the corner for Newman. And I think they're on the heater right now. It's a great win for Holy Savior Menard, but I like Isidore Newman here.
I feel like we're going to be kind of boring because I think I kind of looked at the bracket the whole way down. I think I'm thinking the top seed the whole way down.
Yeah.
I think there's one game that we'll talk about a little bit later that I might go with the lower seed, but Newman's really turned a corner since putting Jake Randall at quarterback. He's got some great receivers as well, like Drix as they call him. I just think it's going to be too much for Menard to be able to handle, and that'll set up a home game for Newman still in the quarterfinals. And not a lot of people expected that after those first 2 games this year, but those are 2 really good teams that they ended up losing to. So give me Newman. Yeah,
could be a Dunham Newman matchup in the quarterfinals. So that would be really fun for sure. Going here to Jules Sumner, Sauter Charter. Sauter Charter survived the scare. They had a really barely fend off Pope John Paul 21-17. Tykemian Ford is kind of like the Taysom Hill of that football team. Plays quarterback, receiver, running back, all over the football field. He did his damage in that football game. Coach Clarkson, I have a lot of respect for him and what he's built at Slaughter. That's still kind of putting their name out there, winning a playoff game. But hey, Jules Sumner's having their best season yet, and they are really going on a run. Coach Career's doing a great job with Jules Sumner, undefeated. They are a tough, hard-nosed football team. You know that even if you win, you're going to get beaten up. Like they're going to play some smash mouth football, and what they want to try to do is a winning formula in the playoffs. They're going to try to limit your possessions. They're going to try to control the clock and control the ball the entire game. They got two great running backs, a really big quarterback in Eli Nealon, Jamon Dyson. I really like this Jules Sumner team to go on the run. And you saw what happened there with Slaughter Charles struggling with Pope John Paul. I think Jules Sumner's going to expose Slaughter in the second round.
Yeah, obviously Slaughter's had a great year this year, winning a playoff game, getting to the second round. But it's a good Jules Sumner team. They're undefeated for a reason. You mentioned it. They play football. That's going to make it really tough for you to even hold on to the ball at times. Coach Career has done a great job, like you mentioned. Kind of cover all the bases there. I think Sumner's gonna win big in this one, advance to the quarterfinals, and we're gonna have a quarterfinal game in the bunkhouse.
Yeah, there we go. That'll be really, really fun to watch. Aiden, I lean towards Jules Sumner because they destroyed Slaughter Charter 48-28 when they met in the last game. And to be honest with you, I have a lot of respect for Slaughter Charter, what Coach Clarkson's doing, but it might even be more upside than that. So we'll see. I know Slaughter Charter, hey, uses his bulletin board material. Come at me there for sure. But I'm going to get Jules Sumner. I picked Jules Sumner to go to the Dome, so I got Jules Sumner moving on to the next round. Like I mentioned earlier, pick the over when you got these two teams playing. Calvary Baptist Country Day, a lot of explosive offenses. On the field, a lot of great playmakers on the football field. Calvary's going to put up some points. Hudson right over at Country Day with all those great playmakers too. Deuce McAllister's son at wide receiver. They got a lot of great weapons there too. It's going to be a back and forth game. It's going to really come down to what defense can get the stops in the end.
I disagree with you, Jace. I think Calvary's going to control this game from start to finish.
Oh, okay.
I think while Country Day's had a good year and they've won a lot of good games, I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with this Calvary squad. Losses to Willow, losses to Episcopal. I think we're still rebuilding a little bit. Country Day, I think the pieces are there to kind of start putting together something. But I just think a long travel up to Calvary. It's one part of the state to the other part of the state. So I like the Cavaliers in this one. I like them to win big.
Okay. Yep. I actually do agree that Calvary will win this game. I do believe Calvary will win this football game. Like I mentioned, I don't think Calvary's going to shut down Country Day, but I do trust them to win. I think they'll make it comfortable. I think we have a comfortable win for Calvary Baptist. So I'm going to go with the Cavaliers to get the job there. And like you mentioned, that's a long drive up to Shreveport. I experienced it. I had to call a Episcopal game in the playoffs last year and make that same drive up to Shreveport. So I can understand how far of a drive that is. But I'm going to lean towards Calvary Baptist to get the job done. So does Aiden here. I lean towards Calvary Baptist because they've been dominant in their division. Medjugorje Park Country Day is good, but they beat men pretty badly. So yeah, that is true as well. Give me Calvary Baptist to move on to the next round. All right, and then we have Lafayette Renaissance Charter Academy against Amite here. We talked about Coach Landry. He was there for that LCA run. Trev Falk over there at Lafayette Renaissance Charter Academy. So trying to build another LCA, and they're off to a pretty good start in building that right now this year. But you're going to have to go up against Amite, who's another program that's been experienced, going to state championships, making dome runs. Coach Powell knows exactly what to do with his team. Franklin Morgan is a great playmaker that can impact the game, not only on defense, but offense and special teams. Should be a great game. But the game will play at Lafayette Renaissance Charter Academy. But do you trust just the experience of Amite in this one?
This is the one game that I circled that I said I might pick the lower seed on this
Yeah.
one because you mentioned it. A-Meat's got that winning pedigree. They kind of come into this. Lafayette Renaissance, this is probably the best season, I guess, that they've had as a school since they haven't been around that long. But
Sure.
I think I'm gonna lean A-Meat on this one. They're in a good spot right now in the year and what they've kind of done. They were on a long winning streak to end the year. Sumner did beat them in week 10, but I like where this A-Meat team is at. I'm a little worried about experience at this point in the playoffs for Lurka, but I think this has been a really good year for them, and I'm excited to see how they build off of this. I think they're really young, not too many seniors on that team, so excited to see what they bring back. But yeah, I'm gonna lock it in. Give me A-Meat in this one to upset Lurka.
Hey, just great minds think alike. I mean, we haven't really gone, I think maybe going against each other maybe one time, but I agree with you as well here, Spencer. I got A-Meat. Like you mentioned, I think playoff experience means a whole lot. They're just used to this. And I know Lafayette Renaissance is going to get there. They're off to a great start already, but I'm going to lean towards the experience right here from A-Meat or Coach Powell's team. Their experience in these type of games. Give me A-Meat to pull off the upset. The corner of the seating on the road. Give me the A-Meat Warriors moving on and advancing. And then our last matchup, De La Salle and Notre Dame. We talk about Notre Dame and De La Salle here. Notre Dame, Louis Cook, and it's hard to go against him. You put the Mount Rushmore of high school football coaches in Louisiana. He's on there. And they got by in the first round. I tell you what, if everybody's just going to just mark off Notre Dame winning this game, be careful because I saw that De La Salle team in person. They are a really deceiving 18 seed. They are really good. They started the season 0-5 because they played pretty much everybody that you can play. St. Charles Catholic. They played Central to start off the season. They played Shaw to start off the season. St. Paul's, you name it. They start. That's the reason why they started 0-5. But they're physical. They're tough. They got 3 running backs that can run the football. They can make things interesting against Notre Dame. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I think you're right. I think they can make things interesting. Obviously, I think last week against Episcopal, I think a lot of people were picking De La Salle. So it's kind of like one of those known upset kind of things.
Right.
But Notre Dame does what teams do best. Coach Cook, obviously, as you mentioned, I think he watched our broadcast this weekend of the cross country. He gave us high props on it. So I want to thank Coach Cook for that. This is a Notre Dame team though that's pretty dang good, and they can do a lot of stuff that makes you frustrated at times. They'll control the ball, they'll run that kind of everything's really tight, and it all expands out. And I'm 20 yards down the field, and everyone's still looking at the line like, wait, what happened? And so there's kind of a chance that De La Salle can make things interesting. I think it'll be close, but I like Notre Dame in this one.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame's going to squeak it out. I mean, I think De La Salle's going to give them a really good shot. I'm really impressed with their running game. They got 3 running backs over 500 yards rushing. Their defense was really solid too against Episcopal. But I just trust Louis Cook. I trust Notre Dame at home. I think it's going to be hard fought. And I think Notre Dame fans might get a little bit of a scare, but I'm on go with Notre Dame. I trust them to get the victory and move on to the next round. So that does it for Division 3 Select. Once again, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we come back. I know Plaquemine fans have been waiting. Where are the Plaquemine Green Devils? Trust me, they're coming up next. We're going to talk about Division 2 non-select on the show. We'll be right back. Here's a word from our sponsor, Tommy's Windows. Make sure to go to gotommys.com and go Tommy's. Go visit them and Tommy and their gang, and you'll see the difference clearly. We'll be right back after the words of our sponsor.
Those Doors and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
All right, welcome back, guys. We're bringing back Spencer on the show. So there we go. We have 2 divisions down. We got 2 more left to go. We're pretty much halfway there. I know we got an hour and a half. Like, man, we talked for a long time, but
yeah,
we're almost there. We're trucking a little bit as we get to a Division II non-select. Yep, Condarian. Condarian's been waiting patiently. We really appreciate you, Condarian. I know you've been commenting about Plaquemine. Trust me, we're going to get to those Green Devils right now, so we're going to talk about Division II non-select. So let's see. I can go and try to pull this up. And Division II non-select back on the stage, and we're going to break down. Here are your second round matchups for Division II non-select. Number 1 overall seed, North DeSoto, will take on DeRidder. DeRidder coming off a 35-16 win over Eunice. Jennings, I know we have Miss Abear commenting about the Jennings Bulldogs. We're going to get to them as well. We have Iowa in the house too. Oh, I think they're all glued in Division II non-select.
Division II non-select. The fans come out for this one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So North DeSoto will take on DeRidder. A really great matchup, Jennings and Franklinton. We're going to talk about that game as well. Jennings coming off a 56-18 win over St. Martinville. Franklinton, a 51-14 win over Rain. That should be a great matchup. We'll talk about that. There you go, Plaquemine. The Plaquemine Green Devils, are the number 5 seed. They'll take on the Wassman. Spencer, I believe you called it last week. You had Wassman beating Minden, and that's exactly what happened. The Wassman Wildcats get a 35-14 win over the Minden Crimson Tide. We can try to do that again against the Plaquemine Green Devils. And how about Cecilia and Lakeshore? That's going to be a fun matchup. Cecilia with a 56-7 win over Carroll. Lakeshore gets the bye as the number 4 seed. That should be another great matchup in the second round. Bell Chase, number 3 overall seed, gets the bye. They'll take on the Opelousas. How about Coach Coleman and Opelousas getting the upset over Pearl River, 13-0. So Bell Chase and Opelousas will play in the second round. How about a Baton Rouge area matchup? We have Bruley taking on West Feliciana. West Feliciana coming off a 49-6 win over Bossier. Bruley over a 42-6 win over Albany. So similar type of scores there when we talk about West Feliciana and Bruley getting those wins. Another really intriguing matchup, Franklin Parish, 62-12 over Abbeville. They got a lot of firepower on that football team. We talk about Franklin Parish. They'll take on Lutcher. We know about the Bulldogs. They made championship runs in years past, 7 versus 10. There's a lot of great 7 versus 10 matchups, and this is another one. And then finally, Northwest and Iowa. Iowa, the number 2 seed. So, yeah, we'll talk about Iowa, Northwest. Hey, Northwest has made some Cinderella runs, so I know Iowa is aware of that. So, man, a lot of great matchups here in round 2, Spencer, and we're going to break down the first one. So we have first, yep, so a lot of people commenting. So before we get into it, Spencer, this shows you how many people are tuning in right now. We have Condarian with Plaquemine. We have Iowa in the house, Plaquemine in the house. Naomi Airbear, okay, this is us. That's talking about Jennings. Okay, they go try what over the Green Devils. We're going to find out. And then, again, potentially weighing the Bulldogs. So
a lot of support in Division II Division II non-select. We'll get right into that first one so we can get through this. We'll start with North DeSoto DeRidder. I'll kind of take things, here for you, Jace.
There you go.
This is a good North DeSoto team. I think DeRidder's had a really good year, but there's levels to this. Is what I occasionally like to say. There's levels to this, and this North DeSoto team I think is probably a top 5 team in the state. Mm-hmm. Beating West Monroe was obviously huge for them. Going through, I think a little bit of the Shreveport area might have gotten. I don't know how to say it. I think it might have gotten exposed a little bit. They didn't know about how much they wanted to do. So give me North DeSoto big in this. I think they're like one of the only teams in Shreveport that I trust to make a good run.
Yeah, you talk about it. You talk about maybe a top 5 team, regardless of classification. That's what North DeSoto is right now. Luke Delafield, it kind of feels like this could be that storybook kind of ending for him. He started off his career as a freshman, leading North DeSoto to the Dome. They fell off short to Lunch Winfield and Lutcher that year. But yeah, then it's done. We talk about Delafield. They can run the football with Kenny Thomas. Good defense. That West Monroe win showed you how great that win was for North DeSoto. So, they're playing really hot right now. It's hard to go against them. So, yeah, got to get North DeSoto. Coach Palmer does a good job over there at DeRidder. But that's a tall task there for DeRidder. So, give me North DeSoto to move on. All right, Jennings and Franklinton. So, Miss Bear, we got Ashley Mouton. There's a lot of pressure here because we're going to talk about Jennings and Franklinton. Jennings, a great season this year. They got a lot of guys. Might as well plug the bowl game. They got a lot of guys that will be playing in our bowl game at the end of the year. We got Humphrey Ned. I know we got Gerald Watson, Nate Broussard. I know we got Zion Leonard. So we got a lot of guys from a bowl game representing for Jennings. But so does Franklinton. They got Jacob Crane, the quarterback over there at Franklinton as well. What a career he's had over there for the Demons. This is going to be a great quarterback matchup. Chris Ned is a great quarterback over there for Jennings, and he's the guy that we definitely going to be watching out for. But, hey, you talk about Franklinton as well, Jacob Crane. Going to the state championship last year, the run that they made as a number 1 seed, losing just as close to Cecilia for the state championship game. And I think a lot of teams kind of forgot about Franklinton because of what they did last year. But Coach Salt really likes his team as well. 8 versus 9 seed, two really great teams. It's going to be tough, Spencer. Who you got here?
This is tough to pick. Both these teams have kind of had similar years. Jennings obviously has some losses to some good teams. We saw them on the LHSA network earlier this year in that game against Notre Dame. We've seen Franklinton on the LHSA network as well. We saw their game against Jules Sumner. So we've gotten to look at both of these teams. 8 versus 9 seed. The scores in round 1 are kind of similar.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to lean the home team on this one. I think sometimes that home experience will kind of matter. So give me Franklinton to pull it off at home in a close one. I'm talking like this game could go to overtime.
Well, I hate to say it, Miss Ashley, Miss Naomi. I hate to say it. I know I'm going to probably get crucified after this, but I'm going to go with Franklinton. Like you mentioned, they meant to the Dome last year. Jacob Crane's a great quarterback. Coach Salter from Maggio has went to the state championship game with 3 different teams. It's going to be a great matchup. It can go either way. I think it'd be kind of a shootout. I like Chris Nett as well. These are 2 great teams, and it won't shock me at all if Jennings wins this football game. It is literally a coin flip. But I'm going to go with the home team here. I'm going to go with Franklinton. This can go either way. But I like how they got some of those guys that made that run to that Dome last year. So I know we're going to get Spencer. We're probably about 5 seconds away from some comments. But give me Franklinton, but barely. I went back and forth with this one. So this can go either way. It should be a great game. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on that one. And now here's for the other party, Plaquemine and Wasson. Here we go. Here's the Plaquemine comments. Plaquemine Green Devils, Deron James. Hashtag bust them up. I like that hashtag right there. So, yeah, we're going to talk about the Plaquemine Green Devils. What a season they had last year. They were almost there to make it to the state championship game. They lost to Cecilia. That prevented them from going to the state championship game. But yeah, this is going to be really great. Plaquemine, this is a team I saw in the spring game against Karen Crow, and they got a really great defense. They're athletic on defense, a great back end in the secondary. Obviously, Brennan Miles is a quarterback, and I really like Brennan Miles a lot at the quarterback position too. They got a lot of dynamic weapons. Broderick Bingham on the defensive side of the football. So they got a lot of great players, and this is going to be a team in Plaquemine in terms of talent. they can match up pretty much about anybody in this bracket. So they got Wassman coming off a 35-14 win over Minden. It was an upset win for Wassman. You called it. Flux some, Spencer, because you did call that one over Minden. But can Wassman pull it off again? This is a Plaquemine team in terms of talent. I mean, I have them right there with Franklin Parish in terms of talent. So where do you see this game going?
I see Plaquemine winning big. The game last week between them and Minden, Minden's kind of a team from that Shreveport area that I thought their schedule wasn't too strong. And so I could see how Wassman, especially with the way that they were kind of tested throughout defense or throughout district, I could see how they could pull off that upset going into the playoffs. But this is a different team from Minden. This is a Plaquemine team that's got loads of athletes, load of talent all over the place. One game short of the Dome last year, and you kind of see the team that beat them in the semifinals kind of peeking their way out right there with that 13 seed right there. So, I think this was a Plaquemine team that could have made the Dome, and if they would have made the Dome, I thought they would have won a state championship. So, I think they're hungry, they're ready to get back into that kind of winning mindset, and I think they'll keep it rolling this week against Wassman, who I thought has had a great year. Coach John Dior, so obviously he had a great prep career, he had a great college career. I think, I think it's just going to be too much for Wassman, but I like where the Wildcats are going.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's time to roll out the basketballs up there, which they have been no secret to winning basketball states.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll say that about Wassman.
You're right about that. And John Duarte, obviously the Neville legend, and taking over that program, doing a great job with the team. Man, they're hungry. They're coming right here. The Green Devils want it. They've had some great teams, but in years past, Spencer, they would run. I mean, they just had a tough bracket. They would play in the Warren Eastons of the world and the Cars, the McDonald 35s when they were rolling the Nevils. But now, I mean, they got a great shot as anybody now in the bracket they got now. Plaquemine is just too many athletes. I think they're as most athletic, most talented, up there with Franklin Parish in terms of just raw talent. And I think they were just right there. They were at the semifinals last year. Plaquemine is hungry. We talk about it. They're commenting right now in the section about hungry they are. Roll out the basketball, Wassman. So right now they're really
basketballs have already rolled out for Wassman. Say that much sometime. Their girls basketball team got a big win over Huntington last night.
There you go.
The boys basketball teams got some replacements to make on that, but Coach Casey Jones up there at Wassman does a great job with that basketball program. It's always fun to catch a game up there at the W.
Give me Green Devils big. Give me the Green Devils big. So Darren James says 56-8. Yeah, that's his score prediction against Wassman. So I agree with what.
All the locker room material for
for Wassman.
They're writing all this down right now.
They're writing all this down.
What all of them said about us.
But yeah, I gotta go with Plaquemine big to move on to the next round. It was a great season for the Wassman under Coach Diars, but got the Green Devils marching on and moving on and advancing. Now, could they potentially play Cecilia? Could that be a rematch of the semifinals from last year? Cecilia, was one of those teams as the defending state champion, a new head coach. They got some great players still on that team. They don't have some of the guys last year. I mean, Ella Stewart was our All-American Bowl game MVP, and some other ones, Diesel Solari, but they still got Braylon Calais. They still got some really great players on their team. They'll take on Lakeshore. Coach Indes has done one of the best coaching jobs of the year. They've dealt with a lot of injuries, but somehow they just overcome it, and it just win games. So Coach Indes is one of the best coaches in the state out there. So where does this game go? Will Plaquemine see Cecilia in the next round, or will they get Lakeshore, in your opinion?
I know a lot of the Plaquemine fans want to see Cecilia in the next round, but I think Lakeshore and the way Coach Indes thinks, he's got experience winning state championships.
Yeah, he does.
State championship over at Catholic New Iberia. So they also play the type of football that we've kind of talked about a little bit so far, that they're going to limit the amount of possessions you get. And I think they're going to have a really, really, I'm not going to say easy time, but I think they're going to see a lot of success against Cecilia. I think they just play that type of ball where they can control things. I think their only loss on the schedule that I really was a little, they've only got two. They lost to Hahnville and they lost to Salmon, and that Salmon loss was just everything that could have went wrong did go wrong for them. So I think they're going to limit the turnovers this week against Cecilia, and I think Lakeshore is going to move on to the next round. Kind of boring so far, huh? I've picked all the top seeds. Maybe that'll change.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you though. I mean, I'm kind of the same thing here. Now I can see Cecilia winning this football game. I know a lot of people at Plaquemine want an upset. They want Cecilia. So they're commenting right now, we want Cecilia. I hope it's an upset. And yeah, Plaquemine only lost to Zachary this year. That was their one loss this season. But I agree with you. I got to go Lakeshore. I mean, Lakeshore's got the formula to win. They run the football really well. They can play the time of possession football, play keep away, strong defense. I think they lost too much from Cecilia last year, especially those 2 state championship runs they had. I'm going to go with Lakeshore, though. I know Plaquemine fans want to see the Cecilia Bulldogs, and it won't shock me if Cecilia does win this football game. But,
it will shock me.
Hey, as long as you move on to the next round, you play somebody. That's what matters at the end of the day if you're Plaquemine. But I'm going to go with Lakeshore. Condarian disagrees, upset Cecilia. It could happen. I won't be shocked if Cecilia wins that game. But I'm going to go with Lakeshore, go with Coach Indes that's been as experienced in winning these playoff games, like I mentioned, the state championship coach at Catholic New Iberia. All right, so we're going to go down in the bracket. We got Belle Chase, Opelousas. Belle Chase having a great season this year under Coach Myers. Their defense has been really good this year as well. And talking about good defense, Opelousas, Coach Harry Coleman, being a former linebacker at LSU, I think he's going to be proud of that performance, 13-0 against Pearl River. But hey, you got Belle Chase that's been really strong this year. I think they have only one loss this season, Spencer.
Yep, only lost to St. Charles. This is a really good Belle Chase squad. You talk about defense. Yep. This is a good Belle Chase defense. Now I know for the first 7 weeks of the season, everyone's like, well, they really didn't play anybody. They held Shaw to 0 points. This is the Shaw team. Obviously, it's not the same Shaw team as last year, but still to hold a team and a lot of teams. Let me see how many shutouts they've got on their schedule. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shutouts out of 10 games on your schedule. That's a really good defense you're talking about. So I like Belle Chase in this one. I think they're having a great year this year. And it's good to see them good. You know, the Plaquemines Parish, South Plaquemines always been up there, but to see Belle Chase now up there as well, it's really good to see for Plaquemines Parish. So give me Belle Chase. Honestly, I could see it, kind of being low scoring, I guess you could say. I think both defenses are really good, but I like Belle Chase to put up some points.
Well, you got the saying defense travels. Fortunately, they don't have to travel. They're at home against Opelousas, and the most points they've given up this year was 19, and that was the loss to St. Charles Catholic. So if you're Opelousas, you can find a way to get to 20 points. Maybe you have a shot.
Maybe you got a chance.
Maybe you got a chance, but too much defense there for Belle Chase. I got them moving on. So Aiden returns with the comments here. I think Belle Chase would win. Their defense is dominant, allowing only 5.1 points per game. So that's the precise points per game. And their offense has blown out opponents all season. So, give me Belle Chase. I think, be honest with you, Spencer, I think it's going to be a blowout. I think Belle Chase is going to handle their business against Opelousas. Wait, I think I mistyped the blowout points, but it's not a lot. I believe you about 5 points per game, basically what I've seen. Like
six shutouts, and only
6 shutouts, and like 2 other games they had
your worst game is gonna help.
7 points. 2 other games that 7 points given up. So their defense, hey, that can win you some championships. So watch out for the Belle Chase Cardinals. And then we're going to talk about West Feliciana and Burley this year. So we talk about West Feliciana. What a season for Coach Terry Miner, his first year over there at West Feliciana, and they really picked it up over the course of the second half of the season. And how about Hoff Schooler and the Burley Panthers? 9-1 this year. You kind of look at it, kind of surprised with their 9-1 record, with their one loss going to against Plaquemine. I know we got the Plaquemine folks watching the show, but West Feliciana I think it's playing some really good football right now. They look really dominant. And to be honest with you, I have a lot of respect for Coach Schooler and the Burley Panthers, but I think that 9-1 record's a little flukish. So I actually like West Louisiana in this football game. What's your opinion on this game, Spencer?
I agree with you. I think West Fell's playing some good football this time of year. Now they did play earlier in the year. It is a 21-13 game.
Yeah,
You
rematch.
mentioned it. It's really tough to beat a team twice in a season, and so there's a lot of already bulletin board material. There's probably some, hey, you guys remember when they beat us earlier this year? Let's make sure that this doesn't happen this time. Let's go do it at their place. Coach Terry Miner's a great coach. Coach Schooler, both of them great coaches.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see this one, see the final score on it, but I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with West Fell on the road. Not really on the road. It's like, maybe 20, 30 minutes
the Burley
bridge traffic, but I like the Saints in this one.
Yeah, me too. And it's hard, like you mentioned, a good point. That was a matchup in the regular season with Burley winning that football game 21-13. But like you said, it's hard, especially when it's that close. It's hard to be a good team twice. So give me West Fell to get the upset on the road against the Burley Panthers. Aiden, he also thinks West Louisiana is going to win. They look dominant, racking up a 49-6 win over Bossier. I know Burley had an impressive win over Albany, 42-6, similar type of score. I think it'll be a close game. It's going to come down to the wire. I think it's going to be low scoring again, but this time I think I got West Feliciana surviving and advancing. This is really intriguing, Spencer. Franklin Parish and Lutcher. This was probably a game we probably could have seen in the state championship game last year, to be honest with you. But Franklin Parish, I talked to Coach Burnett. They're getting healthier right now. They had a lot of their best players kind of playing all over the football place. When you got a quarterback that's an LSU commit and you got a running back that's got offers from LSU, that's going to get defensive coordinators some nightmares. I can tell you that much. And you saw how much points they put up on the board, 62 points against Abbeville. I like Franklin Parish a whole lot, and we'll talk about they got probably in terms of Division I talent, they have the most in this bracket. So, but you got Lutcher team that's used to winning, historically programmed, that's won a lot of state championships with Dwayne Jenkins, and they've had a lot of different coaches win state championships over there. And obviously, Coach Jenkins has achieved a lot of success, including winning a state championship himself. But who do you lean here, Franklin Parish or Lutcher? To me, this is the matchup I got my eyes on in the second round.
Yeah, this is definitely the matchup that everyone in the second round is going to be watching. I'm a little worried about Lutcher's youth. They're starting a freshman quarterback, I believe, right now, and they've got a lot of young guys in the skilled positions. I think they've got better throughout the year. This is two really good coaches, though. You mentioned Coach Burnett, Coach Jenkins, both of those guys. I got a lot of respect for those guys. I know, and Aiden kind of put in the chat, he leans towards Lutcher winning. They're historically a strong program, but I like Franklin Parish in this one to get the win. I think Lutcher's inexperience maybe at the skill position, it's going to hit them eventually, and I think it's going to hit them now. This is so tough to call, though. I'm excited to see what happens, but yeah, I'm leaning Franklin Parish in this one.
Yeah, we got a cool fact here. The Franklin Parish won their largest margins of victory in school history. The Patriots win 9 games. They're only the third time ever. They'll be trying to win back-to-back playoff games for the first time in school history next week. I picked Franklin Parish to go to the Dome. I'm really high on Franklin Parish. I think you get a lot of their guys. We talk about Des Ellis. We talk about Bookie Ellis. We talk about Trey Martin, their running back. But they're Chris Addison, Tavon Bell. They got a lot of great Division I talent that you'll be seeing play on Saturdays. And I think they're playing their best football at the right time. They got that huge win at the end of the regular season against Tioga. I think they're rolling right now, and they're at home. Give me Franklin Parish to win this football game and beat Lutcher. Lutcher, like you mentioned, a little bit more youthful this year, talking about their freshman quarterback and playing a lot of young guys. So give me Franklin Parish to get the job done. This is a huge year for Franklin Parish in order to make that run. So give me the Patriots. And
if I had anywhere I would go to Franklin Parish this week. I think with my geography kind of being leaning towards Lafayette due to the swim state championships down in Lake Charles, I think I'm going to be in the Lafayette area. Okay. But if I could go anywhere and I didn't have to worry about anything else, I'd be at Franklin Parish Lutcher.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame you there. And this is also seating wise. Watch out, Iowa. great season this year for Coach Tommy Johns and the Yellow Jackets. I know we had an Iowa fan. I hope he's still watching. I know he commented on the show earlier. Iowa representing. So we're going to talk about those Yellow Jackets, undefeated this season. Yeah, Knowlton Joseph, Iowa in the house. Undefeated this season for the Yellow Jackets. And, they're going to be really good this season. But, undefeated, you got to win those games. You got to give credit for Iowa for winning those games and, because they were undefeated. But maybe an easier schedule for them kind of down the line. Now you got Northwest, Spencer, and you've seen Northwest be a double-digit seed before and then make a run to the semifinals. So we've seen this team do it before. So it won't really totally shock me if Northwest makes a run at this thing at Iowa. But where are you leaning towards? You're going towards the Cinderella team for Northwest to do that again? Or do you think Iowa, undefeated team, is going to be rolling at the number 2 seed?
I think this will be a good test for Iowa. I'm a little worried about the strength of schedule a little bit for the Yellow Jackets. I was a little worried last year, though, and they made a great run to the semifinals. But I'm gonna go with Iowa, but I would not be shocked to see Northwest win this game. They've obviously had a lot of playoff success. Last year, they were knocked out by Plaquemine. But I think this would be the best chance for us to see, okay, where is this Iowa team really at? Because while Northwest doesn't boast the greatest record, you got to look at who they lost to. I mean, they lost their first 4 games of the year, and they've won 6 straight. Their 4 losses were to Eunice, Rain, Barb, and Jennings, and I think they were kind of beat up.
Yeah, Northwest is finally healthy now, too.
Yeah, they were beat up at the start, and I think they're finally starting to get healthy at the right time, which is going to help. I'm thinking maybe Northwest could pull this off, but give me Iowa at home. I just think, but it'll be really close. Don't get me wrong. I think this is going to be a close one.
Yeah, man, it's tough because I've seen Northwest. It's like deja vu. Like I've seen Northwest do this before. But I'm going to go with Iowa. I'm going to trust them. They went on a little bit of a run last year as well. I believe they lost. I think they lost. It was either the quarterfinals or some odds. They went pretty far last year. So
Northwest?
Iowa, I think.
Iowa, they lost in the semis. Right?
Semis. I know they went.
They lost to Franklinton in the semifinals.
Yeah,
35-29. They were in that game all the way to the end.
But Northwest, Kevon Johnson, the running back, like they're going to be in this one. But I'm going to go with Iowa. And like you mentioned, this is a really good measuring stick game for Iowa to see how legitimate they are, as the number 2 seed. I know they're undefeated. They're 10-0, and you got to give them credit for winning those games. But this is going to be a great test for Iowa. I do believe that Iowa will win this football game and move on. But that's a tough draw for a number 2 seed off the bat, off a bye. Really deceiving 15 seed Northwest. So we'll see. Aiden, their offense scores well, and their overall performance trend is better than Northwest, who has struggled more against mid-level opponents. Yep. So I'm going to go with Iowa. I think I'm going to trust the Yellow Jackets there. So, and also another comment from Aiden. Also, watch out for Avery Johnson for Franklin Parish. Yes, Avery Johnson is actually committed to play in their Gridiron Football American Bowl game. So we are well aware of Avery Johnson and what kind of playmaker he is. So that is Division 3 or Division 2 non-select. We're going to go to Division 2 select as we're making our way down here to the bigger teams. Here's Division 2 select and the road to the Dome. St. Charles Catholic back to their winning ways. Forget about what happened last year. Back to where they want to be, number 1 seed. Congratulations, Northside. They get a 27-20 win over LB Landry, but congratulations, your prize is St. Charles Catholic as the number 1 seed. St. Michael, they get their first playoff win in their new stadium over Loranger, 35-12. They'll take on E.D. White. Madison Prep will take on John F. Kennedy. JFK dominant over Frederick Douglass, 55-0. But Madison Prep is looking for a great run to the Dome. So is the U-High Cubs from a revenge tour from not even being in the playoffs last year. They'll take on Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington got a win at home over Estruma last week, 22-14. Lake Charles Prep will take on Leesville. Leesville victorious 52-7 over Karen Discovery. Should be a really fun matchup between Lake Charles Prep and Leesville. George Washington Carver, this was the only game played on Saturday last week, so a little bit of a short week for Carver as they'll take on Vanderbilt Catholic. Archbishop Shaw, well, the defending state champions in Division II Select, will take on Haynes Academy. Congratulations. After winning your first ever playoff victory, you get Archbishop Shaw. So tough matchup there for Haynes Academy. And then Bel Air will take on Loyola College Prep. So those are your Division II Select second round playoff matchups. So Spencer, let's talk about St. Charles Catholic. Going back to their winning ways this year. They're only one loss this year, and kind of a fluky way to lose. Last play of the game against St. James, tip pass and everything to lose that football game. But they have been really strong this year. We know Wayne Stein. I don't think there's a well-coached team in the state, probably more than St. Charles Catholic. You're going to have to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. Skylar Edwards also going to play in our bowl game this year. Great defense. They're going to have to take on Northside. That's the number 17 seed. So tough matchup for Northside. After winning the first round, you got to play a juggernaut in St. Charles Catholic.
I'm going to be honest with you, Jace. I think out of all divisions, this division's probably got the worst second round matchups. I think you'll kind of see as we kind of make our picks, but I don't think there's going to – the only game I maybe think could be close is going to be Madison Prep JFK. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think St. Charles Catholic wins this game by 30-plus points.
Yeah, I think no problems there for St. Charles Catholic. They're back to where they want to be. Last year, I think it was just a lot of young players to kind of replace some injuries, and that's what really happened to them last year. But give me St. Charles Catholic. They're going to be right back in. When they get rolling, pretty much almost guarantee them being in the Superdome. That's for sure. Aiden says I think St. Charles Catholic would win. They beat Northside 33-8 last season with a dominant defense performance. So that is a rematch of last year, and I kind of see the similar score here. So give me St. Charles Catholic. Moving on and advancing. St. Michael, like we talked about, they won the playoff game at their new stadium, which is really great. Warrior Stadium, first time in their stadium. They host a playoff game this year, and they win. They defeat Ranger 35-12. But you got Edie White. We talked about Shaw being the defending state champions. These are defending state runner-ups last year, and Edie White. They started off the season, I believe, 0-3. But when they got through their non-district and got to district play, watch out for the Cardinals. They're on the heater right now. It's all about playing your best football at the best time of the year. They picked up a huge win at the end of the season against Vanderbilt Catholic. And let's see, maybe the bye week doesn't cool them off too much.
Yeah, I think I think this is a Edie White team that's gotten better as the season goes on. I think their style of football gets better as the season goes on. I told you I wasn't picking any upsets, and I'm going to stick to that. I think Edie White's going to roll pretty comfortably. Now, next week in the quarterfinals, we might start talking about some upsets. I won't mention it.
Yep.
But I'll bring it up now. I think St. Charles and Edie White, that's going to be a heck of a football
game.
I think the way Edie White plays and the fact that both of them kind of want to play that hard-nosed defense, I don't know, man. I have a feeling that Edie White can maybe honestly go back to the Dome.
Yeah, it's kind of looking in a mirror when you look at St. Charles Catholic and Edie White. You kind of look at them. It's like the same exact team. So they can do it. But, man, that's going to be – you look at a mirror, those are basically those teams. You look at Edie White and St. Charles Catholic. Edie White would probably win. This is an opinion because I don't know much about Edie White, but they're more consistent. Recently won their district. 8-4A and made a strong playoff run, so that's what I think, but could be way off. LOL.
Don't worry, Aiden. We agree with you.
We agree.
I agree with you. Jay sometimes goes off the wire a little bit and picks.
Oh yeah. I'm the wild card you have to worry about. That's for sure. So I do have Edie White winning that football game and setting up St. Charles Catholic. Edie White, that'll be a fun one. Madison Prep JFK. You talked about that. Maybe Spencer, this could be a second round matchup that to keep your eye on, especially in this second round playoff seedings, because JFK they almost were like a play or two away from the Dome last year. But we talk about Madison Prep, really talented. They're going to be big on the offensive line. They got a really talented quarterback that can also play wide receiver. Their defense is really good. They got a lot of guys going to play on Saturdays. A couple of guys playing in a gridiron game. So, really, Landry Williams has got himself another loaded team. But athletically, JFK's got some athletes to kind of match up with Madison Prep, though.
Yeah, this is a Madison Prep team, though, that their only losses are to Southside and U High. And that U
Mhm.
High game was really close. The Southside game, you got to know how to be able to play against it. And I think they can play against it, but if you're not ready for it, they're gonna surely make you pay. But like I mentioned, I think the second rounds are kind of a little weaker in this bracket.
Yeah.
I like Madison Prep to win by 2-3 scores pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I agree. My Madison Prep, I've seen them play in person against U High. Potentially, I might call that game again as we talk about it in a little bit. But Madison Prep, too many weapons, too many guys that can do so much damage offensively in the skill positions. Landon Johnson, the quarterback, can play also receiver. They got a great wide receiver as well. He's committed to play. Keon Robinson at Grambling. So they got, and their defense is as solid as it gets. So give me Madison Prep to win pretty comfortably. I think Madison Prep will win. They're very explosive offensively, and they've proven they can dominate. They won a 3A state title, 50-0. That's right. That was Trey Holly and Union Parish that year. Being someone by that large of a margin is crazy good. Kennedy is tough, especially on defense. I just don't think they can come through, though, even with their schedule. So, I got Madison Prep for sure. Moving on to the next round. Could they play U High? I called that regular season matchup, and that was 14-8. With all that talent on both sides of the ball, you only had one offensive touchdown that entire game. That was pretty crazy, Spencer, from these two teams. The district championship, which was won by U High. I got the green light, Spencer. I am calling that game for VSN against Booker T. Washington on Friday. Now, U High, this could be a dangerous spot because they're kind of looking ahead. And you got Booker T. Washington coming off a good win against Estruma. Do you think it'll be a little bit of a rusty performance from U High, knowing that they're kind of looking ahead, maybe at a Madison Prep, or do you think it's going to be a strong performance from the very start for the Cubs?
Don't really think there's going to be any kind of problems for the Cubs. I think U High wins this game comfortably. I know I sound like a broken record and I sound kind of boring. I just think the higher seeds in this one, the top 8, are all really good. And I think once you get past that top 8, you start getting a little bit into teams that have had up and down years. I don't really think that Shreveport division was that strong, and Washington was kind of in the middle of that district. So give me U High 4 or 5 scores.
Yep, I got U High winning. Just because not only they keep winning, they keep announcing games. That's great. that's one thing. But the other thing is they're just really good. You talk about running game. They can run the football with Marvin Brown, the number 1 recruit by a lot of different people in the country. You got 2 great running backs, Sage Ingram, Corbin Odell, running the football. Defense is really good as well. U High won't have any problems in this one. Give me Cubs big over Booker T. Washington. We have Lake Charles Prep and Leesville, and this could be a fun one, Spencer. Lake Charles Prep, these are 2 teams that are very explosive. Can make a lot of points. Trell Broom's a great quarterback for Leesville, but Lake Charles Prep, a lot of big-time playmakers. They can put up some points on the board. Where do you see this matchup going towards?
I think they both can put up points, but I lean Prep here. I don't lean, kind of like a slight lean. It's more like a big lean like this. I think Leesville, obviously last year they had a lot of success, made the semifinals. I just think this time around, Lake Charles College Prep is really good. They're the 3 seed for a reason. Just don't think Leesville is going to be able to hang with them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Leesville is going to score their points. I think Trell Broom's a really good quarterback for Leesville, but yeah, I just don't think they're going to be able to hang. You never know, but 8-2 this year. Their only losses were against Catholic New Iberia and Westgate, and they were both by a touchdown in those games. But they won a shootout against Barb. How many teams can do that? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But they won 70-65. They've scored 40 points against Opelousas, Mansfield, Jennings. They're going to score some points, and I don't think that Leesville is going to be able to slow them down. Okay, so yep, so Xavier Ford, he actually graduated last year, Aiden. So he's actually playing for Minnesota right now. He was the state's leading rusher last year for the Wampus Cats. But still, this is still a really good offense for Leesville and Trail Broom. Still, they can find Robert Causey is find different ways to move the football. Last year it was a lot of Xavier Ford. Now they're able to throw the football a little bit more with Trail Broom at quarterback. Let's see here. But I do have Lake Charles Prep winning and advancing as the number 3 seed. George Washington Carver and Vanderbilt Catholic. George Washington Carver, maybe obviously a disadvantage because they had to play on Saturday when everybody else was playing on Friday. But you got to play Vanderbilt Catholic. Was having a great season. They were 9-0. And Z Cheese is pretty much right, like you said, Spencer. This bracket is Elite 8. It really is.
You hit the nail on the head. Yeah, pretty much the top. Like I said earlier, the top 8 is the top 8 for a reason, and then everyone else is kind of just there to bring up the rest of the bracket. Kind of stealing the thunder from you a bit, Jace, but
yeah, he did. But that's a good comment there.
This is it's kind of the second round. There could honestly be double buys for some of these teams. I don't think Carver's going to be able to do much with Vanderbilt Catholic, but I want to give a huge shout out to George Washington Carver, cross-country runner, Josue Rodriguez, who led at the mile of the state meet. He went out so quick, and there was no way we knew that he was going to be able to keep that up. But that man kept on going. I want to give a shout out to him because not only that, when he was leading, he got passed up by the group of 5 that we all thought was going to win. And then once he got passed, we thought, okay, he's done. He had a second win. He ran forward, got back in front of him, and I cannot wait to have that on my computer, and I can go watch it anytime because that guy is a legend to me. Being able to do that, I love that.
Really great shout out right there for Carver. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to work out as much for them on the gridiron on Friday, though. Vanderbilt Catholic, you mentioned, they're 9-0. Great start to the season. Kind of curious how that loss to Edie White. And man, they just, for whatever reason, they just can't get over that hump of beating Edie White. But I think they'll bounce back and win pretty comfortably against Carver. Obviously, George Washington Carver would struggle. Also, if you guys knew that they had a canceled season 2023, doing the eligibility violation, so I hope they don't do that this year. So, I do have Vanderbilt Catholic. Moving on, like I said, the top 8. Haynes Academy, a lot of respect for Coach Sprunk. Spencer, PJ is one of our coaches for the bowl game. He was actually the winning head coach last year for Marcus Randall's team last year. He made a joke with me on the show that Andy's not going to let him be the coach anymore because he beat his team last year. So that's kind of like the joke. But what a win for them, the playoffs, first rounds, the first time. They had that great undefeated regular season last year, but they didn't win the playoff game. So this playoff win is the first in school history for Haynes Academy. But, instead your prize for that, you got to play the defending state champions, Archbishop Shaw. It's been kind of a hot and cold Shaw team this year. When they're on, they are really good because they defeated St. James this year. They defeated LCA this year. But the last couple of games, they got shut out by St. Charles Catholic, got shut out by Bell Chase. So what kind of team we should be expecting from Archbishop Shaw and Coach Tierney?
Yeah, a lot of respect for Coach Sprunk and Haynes Academy to win that playoff game. That's huge. This is a Shaw team that hasn't scored a point in a long time, I guess.
Yeah.
Not scoring a
4
point.
Weeks.
Week 8 would be the last time they scored a point. So, but I like Shaw to bounce back. I like them to win relatively comfortably. But yeah, like I said, I know I sound like a broken record with this bracket, but it really is
what it is.
It is as Cheese put it, the Elite 8 and everyone else.
Yeah, I agree as well. Great season for Coach Sprunk, and he's done a great job of building on those situations and building off tough situations to build. So I'm going to go with Archbishop Shaw. Coach Tierney, he's a legend in the sport. I can't go against him. So I'm going to go with, obviously, Shaw. What do y'all think about the Hamilton Christian situation? Will they still play St. Fred's because of that? Well, I mean, basically, it's one of those situations where if you're Hamilton Christian, you just kind of like we talked about earlier in the show, right, Spencer? You kind of have to block out the noise and just worry about playing Friday. Control what you can control. I know it was kind of a tough situation, and we're not going to go really into it that much, but I mean, you can read about it and find out on the news what happened there. But yeah, I mean, you got to control what you control, and I'm sure Coach Washington will tell his kids like, "Hey, block the outside noise, focus on what you can control, and what you can't control is preparing and play that game on Friday."
It's an issue with the school. It's not so much an issue with the football team for right now, from what we can tell. So I imagine they're going to play the season as scheduled. So yeah, we'll leave it at that.
There we go. Let's leave it at that, and let's move on. We got another comment. Plaquemine versus Cecilia. We want a rematch.
The Plaquemine fans love you, Jace.
Man, everyone, they want that Cecilia rematch. We don't think it's going to happen. We think it's going to be Plaquemine and Lakeshore. It won't shock me if it's Plaquemine and Cecilia, but that's why you got to play the games. But we got a lot of comments wanting that Plaquemine-Cecilia rematch. They want that semifinal rematch to have a chance to maybe go to the Dome this year in revenge. And then finally, the last matchup there as well, Bel Air, Loyola Prep. Spencer, I got a trivia question for you.
2003.
2003. Okay, they got the answer to my first question before I even asked it. My second question, do you know who the head coach was at Bel Air the last time they won a playoff game?
Oh man, is he still coaching today?
He is still coaching, technically.
Is he coaching in the Baton Rouge area still?
He's not a head coach, though.
Not a head coach? I have no chance in getting this right.
Yeah, no chance. Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is actually my dad, Ron Lejeune. He was the last Bel Air coach to win a playoff game in 2003. That was the last time Bel Air has won a playoff game. So congratulations to Coach Matevia as well. Yeah, Aiden Kuza says, was it Byron Wade? Now, Byron Wade got them to the playoffs. They did not win a playoff game. So trivia question there. If you have a trivia question there to ask, it's Ron Lejeune. So my dad back in 2003. So I got to brag about that. But Coach Matevia does a great job getting that win, 42-31 over Patrick Taylor. On the road, getting that win as well. A great win for the Bengals. But kind of like we talked about Haynes Academy, like congratulations. What your prize is for overcoming that hump? You got to play Loyola College Prep and the Flyers, which is a really good team mascot for them right now, Spencer, because they are high flying right now. Bryce Resovich, the quarterback for Loyola College Prep, over 3,000 yards passing, 45 touchdown passes this season. They are really good. There's not a lot of offenses like them in the state. They're able to hang there right there with North DeSoto as well. So this is a really good Loyola College Prep team that's really been dominant really all season long. Been impressive all season long.
I'm going to keep it simple since I think we'll talk a lot more about Prep next week, especially I think they're going to keep playing. But yeah, that's my pick. Prep by about 5-6 scores.
Yep.
I think they're great for Bel Air and all, but yeah, that's just not going to be a very competitive game.
Yeah, I agree. So the North DeSoto game put Loyola on everyone's radar from Z Cheese. Yeah, I agree. I think it was a great measuring stick. All right, like Loyola's been really dominating everybody throughout the season. Like, where would they stack with North DeSoto? And I said on our show on Friday night that if they can go and I thought it was going to happen. I thought Luke Delafield was going to get his. Obviously, Bryce Resovich was going to get his, and that's what ended up happening. That told me a lot about Loyola Prep. And then the next week, they beat Northwood the next week as well in a close one. So that really told me, those final 2 weeks really told me a lot about Loyola College Prep. So, all right.
3 divisions down, 1 to go.
Yeah, you're right. 3 divisions down, 1 to go. We're going to take our final commercial break. And Spencer, when we come back, we're going to talk about the big boys. We're going to talk about Division I to wrap up the show. You're watching Ball in the Boot. Here is a word from Tommy's. Make sure to give them a call. Make sure to go Tommy's.com to get a free quote from Tommy's window. So, or you give them a call, 225-250-8808. Call Tommy's and you'll see the difference clearly.
Doors and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Well, welcome back as we're going to find for a final segment right here. Division I, Spencer, talk about the big boys. We're going to talk about 5A to wrap up the show. And again, guys, thank y'all so much for watching the show. And make sure to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to check us out. Make sure to share the show as well. And when the show is posted, you can go back and watch the entire show. So
you say 5A, it's more like 5A in the top of 4A.
Well, 4A, top 4A. I guess you got to
right now. 4A. Next year that'll change, obviously, but it's 5A, top of 4A. I don't know if any 4A teams are still alive in Division I non-select. No. Just it would be St. Thomas More and Turlings are the only two 4A teams.
Yes,
which St. Thomas More is going to move up to Division or 5A anyway. So that's at least what I think. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
We give a shout out to Carter Portillo. Carter, I know he's going to be helping us a lot. Maybe in the Superdome as well. I talked to Carter today about that, helping us with gridiron football coverage. So Carter, I missed Division III non-select. What was your Sterlington prediction? Well, we were kind of talking about Sterling. Yeah, Aiden commented about that. Sterlington, they said Sterlington will win. We were kind of bringing it game by game for the second round. So we got Sterlington handling. Well, it was Donaldsonville. So we got them handling Donaldsonville second round. But Carter, if you want more breakdown of that game, you can go back when the show is done, and you can go back and watch that part of the show. As we are on our final bracket, and that's Division I non-select. And we're going to talk about non-select first. And we're going to talk about the Ruston Bearcats. They're kind of like on the revenge tour. Remember, they won the state championship game 2 years ago. Last year, everybody thought they were going to repeat, but here comes Central. They ran into a buzzsaw that night in the Superdome, but they got a lot of momentum, motivation to get back. And this is going to be interesting. Westgate in the second round. Westgate, that was I'm going to give a shout out to the LHSA Network. That was the game of the week last week. There we go. 49-14. We had Coach Antoine on the show. And remember, Westgate threw a big punch at Ruston 2 years ago. I think it was 23-21. Ruston barely survived that game. You get that rematch now 2 years later. So dangerous, after a bye, dangerous matchup against Westgate. Terrebonne, hey, I had Coach Lewis on the show last week as well. Terrebonne had to really sweat one out in overtime against Natchitoches Central. But, hey, you win and you advance. Now you got to take on Jess Curtis and Southside. That should be a great matchup. Number 8 versus number 9 seed. Central, speaking of those Wildcats, defending state champions, we'll have a couple Baton Rouge matchups. Central will take on East Ascension. Central coming off a 52-24 win over Dutchtown. East Ascension coming off a 57-17 win over West Washita. Zachary, a 48-15 win over Salmon. They'll take on Denham Springs. That will be an intriguing matchup. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Bottom side of the bracket, Dasherhand will take on a dangerous Washita Parish team in the second round as the number 14 seed. Now you have Hahnville and Parkway in the second round. Both teams that can put up a lot of points on the scoreboard. Hahnville coming off a 52-39 win over Slidell, and Parkway coming off a 51-30 win over Covington. Barb, another team that can put up some points, 49-21 over Northwood Shreveport. And West Monroe taking care of business, 49-21. Same score against South Lafourche. And then finally, you have Neville with a bye as number 2 seed in that bracket. And coming off I believe it was a district win, district championship as well, or at least a share of the district championship. And they'll take on Mandeville 48-21. They're winners over Thibodaux. So Spencer, we're going to talk about these matchups, and we're going to talk about the first matchup, Ruston Westgate. Like I mentioned, Ruston Westgate was a matchup 2 years ago. Westgate put up their best punch, and Westgate had a chance to upset Ruston. Ruston survived that game. So, hey, Westgate is kind of like a revenge type of year. They lost to Airline in the playoffs last year, and they took out on their revenge and then some against Airline this year. Can they do the same thing against a team that beat them the year before? But you got to go and beat the Giants, the Ruston Bearcats, as the number 1 seed, which is really tall task to do so.
Yeah, Ruston's obviously got that. I mean, I think they've been in the Dome 3 straight years now, looking to make it 4 this year. Westgate, in a good spot by Cheese that Westgate is actually 4A. They're the one non-select team that I forgot is 4A.
Correct.
The fact that next year is going to be next year they're moving back down to a Division II non-select. Oh man, that's scary. Because this is a good Westgate team that returns almost all of their guys back. So this team is obviously really young. They call their class of 2028 the 5-star class, I believe. They live up to it. They lived up to it against Airline. They were 5 stars all over the place. They were really, really good. But despite everything that's kind of happened to Ruston, Dalen Powell just recently had surgery on his ankle. He's out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's a big loss. Yep.
I still like Ruston, but this game's going to be close. I think, they're kind of doing a running back by committee. That's kind of what I got the read on from the Daily Leaders, Matt Bellinson, who does a great job covering that area. But
yeah,
I think I still like Ruston, but I honestly would say, when I saw that Dalen was out for the year, I think I kind of moved him out of that pick to make it to the Dome. It's so tough to say, though, because they also have a really good passing attack, but it's just I want to see what kind of happens. But sometimes in the playoffs, going into it, it's kind of weird when you're going to have guys who are like, hey, we weren't the starting backs, but now we're going to have to be thrust into it. But if there's a coaching staff that can do it, Jared Ball's coaching staff absolutely could do it.
Yeah, and it sure helps when you're running offense like Ruston and you say, hey, let me throw it back and throw it to this Mod Hudson kid. That's just go up and throw it up to him. Like a Trades Green 2.0. Like just throw it up to him and see what he does. But yeah, I mean Ruston at home, Westgate, if there's a team that can throw off Ruston at this early of a stage off a bye, we've seen because Westgate has almost done that 2 years ago. So this is a team we know they're not going to be intimidated by Ruston by going up there and playing Ruston. They're not going to be intimidated. So this is going to be a scary game for Ruston fans. And I know they're going to kind of sweat through this game, but I trust Coach Ball. I trust Ruston get the job done. It's going to be a tough battle against Ryan Antoine's team, Westgate, because they present so many troubles, so many challenges. But I'm going to go with Ruston. And, when you play in that district, you're kind of in playoff mode all season long anyway. So they kind of been there at that point when you're playing in that 2-5A district. So, this is Aiden. This is my territory. I'm from Ruston. So Aiden is from Ruston. So this is his Bearcats we're talking about. Joshua Brantley, who's at Tulane, did good against Westgate. He did a lot of damage for Ruston. Yeah, and that was another thing, too, to kind of replace Josh Brantley because he was with the quarterback on those championship teams the last couple of years and replace him with a new quarterback this year. So I'm going to go with Ruston. It'll be a great game, though, against Westgate. Terrebonne and Southside, another 8 versus 9, which should be a great matchup as well. When we talk about that game, Terrebonne talked to Coach Tyler Lewis. They finally got that playoff win that they were trying to get after getting bounced out in the last couple. They've had great regular seasons, but get bounced out early. They finally get it done. It was ugly. They had to survive in overtime and do it, but they did it. And maybe getting that monkey off their back is going to make them a looser football team moving forward in the playoffs. They want to get to the Dome, but in order to get there, they got to play against a coach that's won state championships before at Manny and Jess Curtis in the Southside Sharks to get there. This is a really good offensive line for Terrebonne. We know this is a physical football team. We talk about Jess Curtis football team. So it's going to be a physical football game. But who you have lean here? You got the Sharks or you got the Tigers?
Oh, it's tough. Those 8-9 matchups, man, they're so tough to call. Terrebonne's had a really good year this year. The way that they the way that the game last week kind of went, Terrebonne and Natchitoches Central kind of going to overtime, leaves me a little bit worried about the Tigers heading into this one. I think Southside plays that type of ball that we talked about. We're going to mention, I think, at least maybe one more time. I think, no, this is the one more time I'm thinking of. I think Southside playing that type of ball to where they're going to limit the amount of possessions you get. They're going to limit the amount of time that you get with the ball. I think it's going to come in clutch for Southside. I think they're going to win it. And I think the fact that they're at home, I'm leaning the home teams a lot in these 8-9 matchups, but that's just kind of what my gut feels.
Yeah, like you mentioned, like Z Cheese says, I mean, their offensive line's really great. Quincy Adams is having a breakout season for Terrebonne. Alvin Celestine, I mean, that kind of that 1-2 punch with him and Celestine is really good. Celestine's playing in their bowl game at the end of the year. Tyler Lewis is actually going to be one for head coaches at our bowl game at the end of the year, so obviously a lot of support from Terrebonne. But, man, I'm going to lean with that, because – Tyler Lewis is trying to build that program, trying to get them to that point. Again, they finally broke through with their playoff win, but I got to go with Southside. Jess Curtis, I think he's building like that program right. When we knew he got the job 2 years ago, that it was going to be a great hire for Southside. And they're already looking like he's already got his imprint on the program, kind of building that Mandy type of foundation. So give me Southside as the home team. They just built a stadium as well this year, so they're trying to debut that new stadium as much as possible and have as much home games there as possible. So give me Southside, give me the Sharks to advance to the second round.
Time for the Baton Rouge part of the bracket.
Yeah, a lot.
They all got put together.
A lot of Baton Rouge games here. And our first one we're going to talk about is Central and East Ascension. Central, the defending state champions, when we talk about Division I non-sled, they put it on the Ruston Bearcats in the Superdome last year. And now you kind of have that chip on your back if you coach David Semino's squad as defending state champions. They're going to take on East Ascension, and you never know what East Ascension team you're going to get. But when East Ascension is going and is rolling, watch out for the Spartans. But it's been a little inconsistency there with the Spartans this year. But when they're on, with Bryson Martinez, who plays the biggest jumbo athlete you'll see, quarterback, tight end, everywhere, all over the football field. And when they got that all-star coaching staff as well, this could be interesting, especially when East Ascension is on.
Yeah, the biggest question about the Spartans is consistency. Can they kind of have that right time? We've seen that in some games they're really there. They're winning by a lot. In some games it's really close. They lose some. They got blown out by Turlings. I'm worried a little bit about that. Obviously, the win over West Washita is really good. That is a 4A West Washita team that lost a lot of their guys off of last year's team. Yeah. It was good that they made the playoffs, but I like Central in this one, but if the right East Ascension team shows up, they can give Central a good game. But I think even if the right East Ascension team shows up, I like Central just due to the experience the coaching staff has of playing in the playoffs with this team. Some guys back from last year, I just think they've got the experience, the right guys to kind of put together a good run.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I know Z Cheese mentioned this. So that Central has had kind of a rotating quarterback system this year. And, they obviously had a great one last year that's really led them to that state championship. He's now in Nichols. But now you got a 2-quarterback system here. And Max Gassiot, who was part of that 2-quarterback, he's familiar with 2-quarterback systems. He was part of that at Ash last year. And he's doing a great job of managing that with Ja'Cory Platt, too. So it's been interesting how Coach Semino has been able to approach that this year with 2 quarterbacks. But it seems to be working for the Wildcats for sure. And a Baton Rouge matchup, I'm going to go with Central. They're defending state champions, and I think they won't get on the roll. They've been rolling as of late. They got a big win over Zachary to end the season too. So give me the Central Wildcats to survive and advance and move on to the next round over East Ascension. Now another Baton Rouge matchup we're going to talk about: Zachary and Denham Springs. Zachary, this game I have circled to really watch out for because it's still David Brewerton. It's still the Zachary Broncos, still the Z. It's been a little bit of a down season in terms of the regular season for them. but it's still Zachary in the playoffs. They're still really dangerous. And if you're Brett Beard, you got to think to yourself, come on, man. We're the number 4 overall seed. They had a great season with the Goldman twins. And you put us against Zachary second round. Like, what gives, you know?
I think a lot of coaches are probably thinking about that with how deep this year's Division I non-select is. I guess I'll go right into my pick. I think if the right Zachary team shows up, I would agree with Aiden that Zachary would win. But they've been relatively up and down. You know, they lost to Liberty, then they lost to Central, they lost to Catholic as well. I think, and I agree with what she said, non-select Division I be the most wide open bracket. Yeah, I think I like Denham to win this, which would set up a fun Denham Central rematch, which that game in the regular season was really fun. And I think it'd be even more fun for that game to happen again. Give me Denham in a close one though. I think Brett Beard's squad is primed and ready to go against this Zachary squad. That's obviously well coached by Brewerton as well. 2 guys I got a lot of respect for.
Yeah. Obviously a lot of respect for Coach Brewerton, Coach Beard. But I'm going to go. It's not fun when we're just agreeing with each other, but that's just kind of what we are. I'm kind of agreeing with you as well.
We won't be agreeing much longer whenever we get to the bottom side of this bracket.
Oh, yeah, we won't. But I'm going to go with Denham Springs, too. It's your year. This is a Denham Springs team. I visited with Coach Beard before the season. This is a Denham Springs team, Spencer, has over 40 seniors on their team this year. So a veteran team, obviously we got 40 seniors on their team. If it's not now, then when for Denham Springs. So for that reason, I'm going with the Yellow Jackets, and I'm going to go with Denham Springs to survive and advance, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, 43 seniors. And West Monroe has 41. So we're going to talk about West Monroe and just 43 seniors.
What's funny about this, Jace, is all 4 of these Baton Rouge teams, Central, East Ascension, Zachary, and Denham, they're all going to be really good in basketball as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if in basketball they were all around the same seeds as well. Central and Denham both made the state tournament last year. Zachary won the whole thing, and East Ascension, I think, was a game away from making that. So I think it's going to be it's going to be fun to watch these games, though.
Oh, yeah, it really is. I mean, hey, if you're in the Baton Rouge area, take your pick. You got some good ones.
Go enjoy a great game in the Baton Rouge area.
Oh, yeah. Now let's go to Destrehan, though. And this is like Z-Cheese said, this is the most wide open bracket because Destrehan's another team that I would not be shocked that wins the state championship this year. Obviously, you got a veteran quarterback, Jackson Fields, this year. You got one of the best playmakers in the state, Jabari Mack. Malachi Dabney is a running back that a lot of people need to pay attention to as well. And you got Ouachita Parish. Now, this could be dangerous because Ouachita Parish is one of the most you look at their record, very they don't look like their record is if you look and watch them play because they play in that division, that district with West Monroe, with Neville, with Ash, with Ruston, but they played like up to par with all those teams. They could have easily won a lot of those games. So Ouachita Parish is not going to be intimidated by Destrehan. This could be an interesting game, but what you're leaning towards here?
I'm leaning Destrehan, but with a asterisk next to it that this could be a pretty tough Ouachita Parish team to beat. It seems like though that the Lions kind of play whoever they're playing against is they always kind of keep it within that 1-score area. And it was good to see them last week beat a pretty underrated Santa Maula squad that can definitely give it to you on some weeks. So it was good to see that they came out on the right side of one of those 1-score games. They've been doing that. They've been on the wrong side recently. I just think that Ouachita can be in this game. It's just about down the stretch if they can do the things right that they haven't done in some of the other games in 2-5A that caused them to lose those. So I like Destrehan, but I'm going to put the asterisk and the little star next to it that this could go either way.
Yeah, it really can. And Destrehan it's a team you can trust because they made some playoff runs. They made some deep playoff runs for sure with Coach Marcus Scott. But you look at Ouachita Parish, they've lost some close ones this year. I mean, you look at Ruston, 21-14. They lost to Neville, 38-37. They lost to Ash, 28-21. So those are all top of the line, teams that are just as good as Destrehan. So that game does scare you if you are a Destrehan team. But I'm going to lean towards Destrehan because Ouachita, you got to give them credit for being close in those type of games, but can they close those games out? They've been every one of those games, but haven't closed those games out. So give me Destrehan. It's going to be close, but give me the Tigers. Destrehan feels like they let last year get away from them because of the injuries. That's true on a mission this year. So, yep, I have Destrehan moving on and advancing, but they're going to get a little bit of a push from Ouachita. I know that for sure. How about Hanville? And we got one more comment. Ouachita is in a fourth quarter team. They always fall behind the second half. So if Destrehan gets off on the jump, it's already decided. So there we go. Hanville and Parkway, both teams can score a lot of points. Both teams have great quarterbacks as well. Hanville, 52-39 win over Slidell. Parkway, they put up over 51 points, 51-30 over Covington. Probably pick the over when we talk about this football game. Hanville, who knows, could set up maybe a River Parish rivalry in that next round if Hanville able to upset Parkway and play against Destrehan, potentially in the quarterfinals. But Parkway, one of those teams, trying to represent Shreveport, right? But two teams that can score a lot of points and two really good offenses. Now the question is, what defense is going to be able to that you trust more in this one between Hanville and Parkway?
Oh man, it's. I hate to say it, but I think Hanville's going to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
I like, I hate to say it, kind of like call it like a South Louisiana, North Louisiana thing, but we've seen that maybe that 1-5A district wasn't all that we thought it was. Obviously, Evangel's really good in that district, but we saw what Westgate did to Airline, and I think Covington is they kind of had an up and down year. So the fact that I think that game was close heading into maybe the third or fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to lean Hanville on this one. And not just that, but Slidell the seating next to them might say 22, but this was a pretty dang solid Slidell squad. I know they lost to Covington, they lost to
Much improved. Yeah,
when you look at that Slidell squad, when they're on their game, they're tough to beat. I think they were actually I think they got a share of the district title in that division. So give me Hanville, but I would not be surprised if Parkway escapes. And then obviously that sets up the Destrehan-Hanville rematch, which is one of the best rivalries in the state.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just because I think there's a lot of people that care down there about that rivalry. Even current students that are people that graduated from that school. Shoot, people that just live in that area, they care about that rivalry. So give me Hanville, and we'll set up a fun Destrehan-Hanville rematch.
I'm with you. Give me Hanville on I know it was a road game, but yeah, Shreveport teams have fared not to really been successful in these type of games for whatever reason. And looking at that rematch, Destrehan won that football game 49-28. But Coach Boyne does a great job with Hanville, and I think it's going to really fuel them. I think they're really hungry for that rematch to meet up Destrehan in the next round. And they beat some really good teams. They defeated Lakeshore, who we talked about earlier in the show. We talked about they defeated E.D. White to start the season as well. So they played some really good teams. Thibodeau's a much improved team that they won this year. So I trust Hanville. Give me Hanville to get the upset over Parkway. All right, and then then we got Barb and West Monroe coming up next. Another experienced team, 41 seniors. West Monroe went on a tear early in this. After that loss to North DeSoto, they've really been on the tear. They defeated Catholic High, they defeated Ash, and they really got rolling. And they really made a push for that district championship this year. And they'll take on Barb, and Barb they can put up some points. Jalandon Gray, their quarterback, they got a really good running back as well. I'm not sure the defense is going to travel, but the offense is going to travel, and they're for sure going to put up some points on the scoreboard. But West Monroe, this is an interesting game. I really like West Monroe this year, but this matchup does scare me a little bit when we talk about the Bar Buccaneers.
You're right. This is a scary matchup for West Monroe to see a team in the second round that puts up points like Barb does. You're going to make sure that you've got your defense ready to go. They obviously proved against Northwood last week that, hey, look, we might be a 26 seed, but we're still going to put 50 points up on you. Their offense is really, really good. That's really explosive. I think the Rebels, though, and Cheese just mentioned it. There you go. Year one of Geyser. I think the Rebels are back to what they were. This is a really good West Monroe team that just played in a really tough 2-5A. If Barb played against honestly anyone else, or not Neville, obviously, anyone outside of 2-5A, I would take Barb. Like if Barb got to play Parkway this week, I would take Barb all day. But I think West Monroe can do enough on defense and do enough on offense and get the win and escape. And Trez Davis is definitely one of the best players in the state. Our end of year awards for the Work Done Awards, we're definitely going to be looking at Trez Davis, possibly as a finalist. But give me West Monroe. But I think this game's going to be close, and I think it'll set up an exciting matchup next week based on who I'm picking in the next game.
Yeah, I think Trez has been playing hurt too. He's doing all this.
Yeah, he's basically been doing all of it with a broke wrist.
Yeah, so he's been a freak of nature if you go and watch West Monroe play. But like Coach Dyser, being a stream coach, that is West Monroe football. Coach Showles and just physical. Right, we're the tougher, stronger team, that gritty team. They're bringing that back at West Monroe. And be honest with you, I had actually West Monroe going to the Dome. I'm really high on West Monroe this year to make the run, to get to the Dome. And you can really put any team at 2-5A to insert them to go into the Dome. But I have West Monroe as my trendy pick as a 10 seed to go to the Dome. So I'm not going to go against them. I think this matchup does scare me, but I'm going to go with West Monroe to get the win. D-Mike wants everything 100%. If West Monroe lines some things out, if their offense plays well as defense, and Trez Davis just plays half as good as he can, West Monroe will for sure hang 25 plus on them. Absolutely could the other Barb, but everything has to be exact. Don't forget about Neville. Neville will beat West Monroe, I think. So, I can go either way.
Neville or Barb West Monroe is also a really good football matchup, or not football, baseball matchup as well.
Yeah.
There was a few years
championship matchup.
Championship matchup. I think the Barb West Monroe championships in baseball. Don't sleep on those. Those are some that it wasn't this last year, but the year before they met in the championships. And man, there was a lot of smack talk between the two teams. So I imagine the football teams, a lot of those guys play baseball. So I imagine there'll be some lost love, maybe you could say, from baseball because they didn't get to play each other last year. They both got bounced out relatively early by the same team. So one game left in Division I non-select, though, Jace. Neville
Aiden said it.
And Mandeville.
Yep. Don't forget about Neville. Neville will beat West Monroe, I think. Well, we'll find out if they get a rematch. Remember, Neville won that football game 22-19, and it's hard to be a team twice. So it's going to be a great matchup. But Neville will take on Mandeville. Mandeville had a great game from their freshman quarterback, Drew Corella. I mean, I think he had 5 touchdowns or something, 6 touchdowns.
Yeah. I was about to go look up and get his stats, but it was about 5 touchdowns. He was cooking.
Yeah, it was cooking Thibodeau. But you got to go against Neville now to try to replicate that against the Neville Tigers. And Neville having a great season. Parker Robinson, the quarterback. They got a 6'4" wide receiver they throw to on the outside. Their defense is rock solid. So Neville looks really strong once again as the number 2 seed, trying to make another push. I mean, their only losses this year, they did lose to Oak Grove and St. Thomas More, that 2-game stretch. But besides that, their only loss was to Ruston, 41-37. They've been playing their best football as of late, earning that number 2 seed. So what we have here.
You got to put that asterisk next to whenever you say Oak Grove. That's Oak Grove, Mississippi.
That's true.
Perennial power.
Oak Grove, Mississippi. Not Oak Grove.
It's not down here, Oak Grove.
Correct. Hattiesburg, Oak Grove.
That was a really good team that they played against over there. So Neville's kind of had some injury problems early on in the year. I think they've kind of figured some stuff out. That loss to Ruston was probably the most concerning thing I saw because they were up big and they kind of let it slip.
Yeah, 41-37.
But I think since then, Coach Mike Collins has got this team playing pretty dang good. Now, don't get me wrong, they're going to have a tall task to try to slow down Mandeville because that freshman quarterback, man, I tell you what, we'll be talking about him a lot over the next couple of years. He's really good. And I think he kind of got thrown into the mix I think they had some injuries at quarterback, so he kind of got thrown in, but he's done really well for this Mandeville squad. But yeah, I think Neville's just going to be too much for him. Be a lot for Mandeville to help build on, maybe for years to come. But we'll be talking about Neville next week. We'll be talking about Mandeville a lot over the next couple of years, though.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to a potential Neville West Monroe rematch. Would be really good. But like you mentioned, Juju Burns as well in the defense. The North Carolina commit is a stud. Parker Robinson, obviously a quarterback. Stud. Neville's offensive line. That's what Z-Chi says. Healthy now too, so they're playing some of their best football. I got another comment here. Neville was also way ahead of West Monroe, and West Monroe came back, so they're struggling in the second half as majority of games. So we'll see. We'll see how that game goes, and we'll see if that bites Neville, but it's not going to bite them against Mandeville. Neville is going to take care of business and should set up a great matchup in the quarterfinals with Neville and West Monroe. So that is your Division I non-select, and it's going to be wide open. We talk about Division I non-select. Well, we're talking about switching gears here to Division I select, and there is an overwhelming favorite right now in Division I select. I mean, we talk about wide open. Is Division I non-select? We'll see. It's kind of like Ed McCarr and everybody else, but let's break down Division I in the second round matchups in select, our final bracket of tonight. Ed McCarr will take on Jesuit as a number 17 seed. Jesuit coming off a big win over McDonald 35, 46-7. But guess what? You got Ed McCarr, who's looking like the best team in the state of Louisiana. St. Paul's will take on Evangel Christian. Evangel Christian has the bye. They'll host St. Paul's coming off a 56-7 win over Pineville. I believe, Spencer, you told me that's going to be the LHSA Network game of the week, right?
Yes, this will. We left our production truck up in Natchitoches because, after we got done with the cross-country state championships there, because at that point we had figured out our game of the week would be St. Paul's and Evangel Christian. Be exciting to see Pop do what he does. Obviously, I won't be there. I'm not really a part of the broadcast crew, but you can watch the game on the LHSA Network TV app. It's super easy to download on your Fire Stick or Roku. The championships are on the NFHS network, as the LHSA always says,
right.
But you can watch all of the championships that we do broadcast of for just free. Basically, I call it, for the NFHS, you have to pay $15 a month, I think, or somewhere around there. Take that $15, go to your local Walmart, buy a Roku, a Fire Stick, one of those two, connect it to your TV, connect it to the internet, go on the search bar, type in LHSA Network. It's not on phones yet, not on phones. The NFHS owns the rights to phones and browser streaming, but we can broadcast the game on a live channel, which is kind of how we get around with that. So you can download it on your smart TV. You can watch all the games. That's how you can watch the game this Friday. So if you want to have one game up on your computer, another game up on your phone, and another game up on your TV, make that game on your TV your LHSA Network game of the week, St. Paul's and Evangel. Sorry, I had to ramble there for a little bit.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to plug the LHSA Network game of the week, and some the state championship games, because I know that's going to be coming, and we'll definitely get to talk about that in terms of how people can watch the games if they can't make the Superdome, the state championship weekend. We have Alexandria taking on Brother Martin. Brother Martin, man, they had to survive against Liberty. Liberty has been Zachary this year. They were really dangerous under Jimmy Zachary. But you see here, Alexandria will take on Brother Martin after the Crusaders got the win last week. Captain Street put up 61 points against a really good Hammond defense. And they'll take on, guess what? Congratulations, you get Catholic High in Baton Rouge on the road at Memorial Stadium. St. Augustine, really great matchup here. St. Augustine will take on Acadiana, 3 versus 14, but really deceiving 14 seed, obviously, when we talk about the Acadiana Wrecking Rams. And then we have Archbishop Rummel taking on Tioga. Rummel coming off a 24-0 shutout over Holy Cross. And I'm going to call this the GOAT Bowl right here, because we have the two winningest coaches of all time in Louisiana, and JT Curtis and Jim Hightower matching up. How about that? The GOAT Bowl. That's what I call John Curtis and St. Thomas More, two of the winningest coaches in not only in the state of Louisiana, but in the entire country, going against each other. And then we got Trowens Catholic taking on Bonneville. Hey, how about Bonneville pulling it off twice, beating Riverdale twice, and Andre Anthony, former Undercar Cougar and LSU Tiger, doing a great job of coaching the Bible Bruins this year. I think there's their first playoff win since 1997, which dating myself since I was born. So 1997, dating myself. But here we go. Those are your second round playoff matchups here. And obviously, yep, correct. First playoff win since 1997. All right, so we're going to talk about the top playoff matchup, Undercar and Jesuit. And it's kind of one of those things, Spencer. Until you knock them off the mountain, they are the team to beat. And Undercar, what can you say? I mean, quarterback, skill position guys, Richard Anderson on defense, Aiden Hall on the back end of the defense, John Johnson. Got 2 Washington State commits in the backfield right now. So, yeah, and you got Bryce Brown, by the way, as your head coach. Like, where's the weakness here?
I don't think there's many. I know last time that they played, I think Jesuit kept their starting quarterback out for this one. And I think that was like a business decision of, hey, look, if we play him against them, he probably gets re-injured. I think even with their starting quarterback back, I still think Carr's is going to be too much. I don't want to spend too much time on him because every week we're pretty much going to be talking about Carr this, Carr that. So I'm going to save some of my facts about Carr for later on in the shows. But yeah, just give me Carr by about 21, 28 points.
If I could have the Select Division I championship be an inter squad between Carr's offense and Carr's defense, that'll be the best game possible. All right, let's see here. We go to the next game. St. Paul's and Evangel. Might as well LHSA Network game of the week. Talk about that.
Can't make a pick.
Hey, you can't make a pick. You like Herb Street. You know, it's our game. We can't pick a winner here. But Evangel Christian, Pop Houston. What can you say about him? Really fun, entertaining quarterback to watch. The LSU commit, and you know they're going to put up some points. St. Paul's, Ken Sears. They're tough, hard-nosed defense. It's going to be a great matchup there. But I mean, I know Shreveport teams, you kind of have to be wary of them. But man, I mean, I like this matchup for Evangel, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make a pick on this one, but okay. I'm excited. Yep. I'm excited to see what happens with this one. You know, Evangel's obviously got Pop Houston, who's one of the best players in my eyes. He's the best quarterback in the class. Not even in the class. I think he's the best quarterback in the state right now. What he's been able to do with that Evangel squad is pretty fun. And then you got a St. Paul's team coming in that you know, this is going to be a test for them. You know, obviously, I think they've got the pieces to be able to put together a really good performance, but it's just going to be about showing up on Friday and being ready to play. And that's a long, long trip. So I'm sure they're going to enjoy that bus ride up there. But we're ready to see this one on the LHSA Network and see who comes out on top.
Well, I guess since you're not making the pick, I'll make the pick for you. I like Evangel. I know probably in years past we probably go against that, but Pop Houston, I think is going to put up some numbers here, and I think it just aligns, man. Like if you have a matchup with Pop Houston and Evangel's offense against Edna Carr's defense, I think a lot of people are going to want to see that game, and I think it's going to line up for that to happen. So give me Evangel. I know it's going to be tough against St. Paul's as well-coached team. Coach Sears does a great job, but give me the Eagles. Give me Evangel Christian to especially at home, get the victory. I know we got a couple comments here as well before we move on. Iowa will be the best team in Northwest I've seen all year this year. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I do. I mean, 10-0. What can you say about Iowa as well? I know Milton Joseph's the Iowa fan that was on earlier. So, yeah, I think it's a scary matchup for Iowa, but I think Iowa will be, I think Iowa will take care of business. And then we got another one from Aiden. Y'all still think OCS will be Southern Lab? Because Lab has beaten OCS the last 3 times they have played in a row. I mean, I'm going to lean with OCS. And you got some good arguments as well there, Aiden. But I think that loss a couple of years ago reigns fresh in their mind about how that game was lost, because OCS should have won that game if they just didn't throw the ball to Dylan Day's way. So I'm gonna go with OCS. It won't shock me if Sun Lab wins, but that can go either way.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm still going to lean OCS for right now, but I would not be surprised.
That's what scares me there. Jerry Botley coming back, the quarterback, Delaware State commit. I think that's what scares me the most about Southern Lab, because this isn't the same Southern Lab team a couple weeks ago. They finally get him back healthy, and they are a little bit more dangerous with him at quarterback. So I mean, that's gonna be a great matchup either way. And then one more comment before we move on, Spencer. Which do y'all think would win, Port Allen or Oak Grove? I missed it when y'all did it. Well, Oak Grove is going to play Richwood, so that's who they're playing. So Oak Grove, we had Oak Grove beating Richwood. So
Oak Grove beat Port Allen 47-0.
Oak Grove beat Port Allen first round.
Yeah.
So all right, let's move on. Alexandria and Brother Martin. We're talking about that game. Alexandria. They went to the Dome last year. You know, it was kind of like a magical run. To go undefeated in 2-5A, and go through the state championship. And then, unfortunately, Cinderella had struck midnight in the Dome against Endicott in the Superdome last year. But still really good, obviously. But, maybe not the undefeated storyline like last year, but still really great. Got a lot of really good pieces there on the Ash team to make a run. You got against Brother Martin, Easton Royal, a really talented wide receiver. Talking about one of the top receivers in the country next year. And, Alexandria trying to get back to the Dome once again under Coach Botman. Now they got Brother Martin. You know how pesky they can be, the Crusaders can be.
Yeah, I just don't know if they'll be able to do enough to slow down Alexandria. Obviously, Easton's really good, but I think they almost got lucky a little bit against Liberty.
Yeah.
You barely escaped Liberty. Now you got to turn around and play against Alexandria, who I think is playing better ball at the right time. Obviously, they lost to Neville in Week 10, which was a little bit concerning, which is why I don't think they're going to go too far, but I think they'll handle business here against Brother Martin. And I think, based on everything I've seen, the Catholic League's obviously one of the best leagues in the state. I think if everything works out perfectly, all the teams in the Catholic League would have survived only losing 2 games to teams outside the Catholic League this year. If you look at all their records, how this would have to happen would John Curtis would have to make the semifinal and either beat or lose to either Rummel or St. Aug. And if St. Aug and Rummel win, it's a big math story, but the only 2 teams would be LCA. No, not sorry. LCA would have beat Rummel, which is 1 loss.
Yeah,
and then if Alexandria beats Brother Martin, they would only lose 2 teams. I saw that on Sportsline. So shout out Louisiana Sportsline, whoever posted that on there.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can go find it while you talk a little bit about it. But give me Alexandria in this one.
Yeah, give me the Trojans. Right now this is a team that's pretty balanced across the board. They got a really great defensive front. Xavier White, the linebacker, for Ash is a freak if you go and watch him play. And they got really great players just along the offense as well. And Z-Tree says, I think Shalmet Owl posted
that. That sounds about right. Shalmet Owl's got all those facts in him that he posts all the time. So that'd be huge for the Catholic League, though. Imagine playing the whole year and the only 2 games you lost in the lead up to the Dome, even if your 2 teams are in the Dome.
Right. Right. So, Ash is just a really solid football team all the way around. I don't think they don't have maybe the star power last year, like JT Lindsay and guys like that, but they're still really good. And like you mentioned, Spencer, like Brother Martin, like they're lucky to win that game against Liberty. So I think their luck's going to run out against Ash. So give me the Trojans moving on and advancing. Too much Trojans there. It could be a great match between Ash and potentially Catholic High. Catholic this year. If you think about a team that could potentially challenge and end the car, that's not going to be intimidated by end the car. Yeah, we mentioned one more thing. Ash is young too. Sellers, Williams, and Noble will all be back, and that's going to be key. Ash is going to be on a run the next couple of years as well. Those are all great players there for the Trojans. But talking about Catholic, a team that could probably give end the car a run for their money. Probably the Catholic High Bears. I called that semifinal game last year against Endicott, and Catholic was probably about 2 or 3 plays away from beating Endicott last year in that semifinal game. So now they're going to play Captain Shreve. They got a great running back, obviously, over there at Captain Shreve. But Catholic, I trust their running game, Jaden Miles and company, their defense to get the job done. Give me the Catholic High Bears. I know a little bit of a homer here because I graduated at Catholic High, so I got to go with my Bears, baby. But I think it's just too much Jaden Miles, too much of that running game. We got 3 great running backs as well. So give me the Catholic High Bears, Z-Cheese. And yeah, calling that game last year. Yeah, Catholic was a 3rd down conversion away from beating Carr last year. So yeah, there's a team that can do it, especially on that side of the bracket. It's definitely the Bears.
Especially because they Carr kind of avoided having to go against all their Catholic League guys again. I'm a little concerned because I think Captain Shreve's running back Plater is really good. And it kind of showed last week that they can score at will. I don't know if Hammond's offense with, the likes of Reginald Donut Monroe on it could have hung up with that. But I think Catholic's offense can. So give me Catholic. I think they're going to beat Captain Shreve relatively comfortably. Yeah, pretty much the top side of the bracket. I'm being boring and picking all. Well, I didn't pick the one game, but I picked all the top seeds for the games I did pick. But I think the bottom side of the bracket, Jace, we might have some fun upsets maybe in here.
Good point from Z Cheese here. Evangel holding Shreve to 26 points is what has me picking Catholic. So yeah, and
it is a very Evangel defense. It's not like they play too much defense, but they play enough.
Right. And it's going to be a little bit of a step up with Catholic High's defense too. So give me the Bears there. And Aiden, I did get your message. I will respond to you after the live. So I did get your message. So I will respond to you after we're done with the live stream. All right. So let's move on to upset alert here. St. Augustine. Yeah. St. Augustine, Acadiana. Now the Purple Knights, with what a second year for Coach Robert Valdez, and that one loss this year. It was to end the car. I think the whole state of New Orleans was there at that game. If you go and look at the sidelines from that game earlier this year. But Acadiana, man, what a tough draw. It seems like every year it seems like they have to play Karen Crow at the end of the season and then play them again in the playoffs. They did that again in a close game again, 29-21. But this is a tricky matchup for Coach Valdez and the Purple Knights to play. After a bye, you reward as the number 3 seed. What do you get? You get Acadiana after a bye. So your thoughts on this, Spencer? Maybe an upset alert here if the Purple Knights weren't careful.
Z-Cheese kind of spoiled my pick a little bit. But yeah, Acadiana's been a lot better throughout the year. And, at volleyball, I did see Mike Coppage, who writes for the Acadiana Advocate, the Daily Iberian, and Sports Illustrated. But he said, I want my props on Acadiana. I told you they'd be a good team, Spencer. I was like, yeah, I'll give you your props. So here's me giving my props to Mike Coppage. Acadiana was a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Yeah. I think their season ends, though, this Friday to St. Augustine. I know you might think that, this is a weird style of offense. What can, St. Augustine do? Yeah, St. Augustine they can spread the ball out. And like ZT says, Aug has already seen a better version of Acadiana and John Curtis. I think John Curtis is probably the best veer team in the state this year.
Yeah.
So the fact that they did what they did to Curtis, I'm kind of convinced that Aug's going to be able to hang with Acadiana. Not just that. I know Travis Galleon's having a good year since he got freed, I guess, from the shackles of the LHSA. But I think Aug has the athletes to be able to hang with him and bring him down. So give me St. Aug by about 2 scores.
Yeah, you got a real experienced quarterback in Vaishon Coulon. You got 2 wide receivers that LSU is both looking at right now on the edge. So, yeah, same here. I know this is kind of a scary matchup for St. Augustine. But, yeah, Acadiana is going to have to make this one ugly. They're going to have to play time of possession, keep the ball away. So, yeah, it was like one of those LSU guys is out. Raekwon Williams are all being out hurt, but not close enough when Miguel Whitley is still healthy. That's
the craziest part about Aug. They're like, Raekwon's out. Then it's like, Miguel's still here.
Yeah. Whitley. We get to him.
When I saw Og play against Rummel, they were like, "Yeah." I was talking to Valdez before the game. He's like, "Yeah, we're on our third running back right now." And then during the game, the kid's just running down the field, making everything happen. I'm like, "All right, cool. Third running back doesn't matter for Og. They've got the talent." Speaking of Rummel,
man. That's a luxury. But I want to go with the Purple Knights. And that'll be a big, huge playoff win for Coach Valdez and what he's already doing in year 2 over there at St. Aug. We knew when Southside got Jess Curtis and when St. Aug got Robert Valdez, that their program is going to hit the ground running. And you've seen that already with St. Augustine. So give me the Purple Knights to advance on the next round. Archbishop Rummel and Tioga, once again, another Catholic League team getting involved. We talk about them. Z-Cheese. Valdez is one of the best for a reason. He is. He's definitely one of the best coaches out there in the state. And St. Aug hit a home run when they hired him.
One of the best coaches in the state. He's one of the good guys in the state.
He is a great guy. Always spend some time with me on the show. So always a great guy to come and talk about the Purple Knights with us and always spend some time with us. Archbishop Rummel and Tioga. Rummel shutting out blanking Holy Cross 24-0. This is a dangerous Rummel football team. Jane Terrence, a really good running back there for the Raiders. Coach Monica team, they're going to run the football, play good defense, and that formula travels. That's why he's won a state championship before against a conflict of styles because Tioga, different story. They're going to want to air it out. They're going to want to put some points on the board. They got an LSU commit at wide receiver as well. At Tioga, Case Malone is the quarterback over there. Kervin Johnson is the LSU commit. But conflict of styles, and you got this time of year, playoff football, and it gets cold and it gets rainy, and you kind of lean towards those teams like Rummel to get it done.
Yeah, just checking the playoff forecast for Friday. 70% chance of rain here where I'm staying at. 66 is the low, 80 is the high, though. So the cold thing is out the window. It might just rain.
Might be rainy.
It just might rain. That might all be bad. Look, this is a good year for Tioga. They're a 4A team that's having to play up into 5A. You kind of feel for them a little bit. I like them a lot more in that Division 2 bracket. Their draw kind of is rough, though. You look at this team that comes out of the first round is Archbishop Rummel, who took a 14-0 lead on Carr and then made a few mistakes and fell apart. They were kind of with St. Aug at halftime in that game. So you kind of hate it for Tioga, but I'm going to go Rummel in this one. I think they're going to be able to control the clock. Ground game's going to be on point. I just don't think Tioga is going to have enough to be able to stay with them.
Ditto here. I totally agree with you. I have Rummel cruising to this one. Ball control, manage the clock. Defense is going to be tough for that offense. I think we'll have a good game plan against Kervin Johnson for Tioga. So give me Rummel. Rummel cruising to victory there. And give me the Raiders. And then let's see. We have, like I mentioned, the Goat Bowl.
Battle.
The GOAT battle here, the GOAT Bowl. We have the two winningest coaches in history in Louisiana high school football. We got two, talk about just programs when you know what they're all about. And John Curtis and JT Curtis and St. Thomas More and Jim Hightower. After all these years, 1,000 wins between these two coaches, LOL. And we finally get to see them coach against each other, it seems like, for a long time. But yeah, in the playoffs, John Curtis, St. Thomas More got two of the GOATs going at it. The game is going to be played at the Shrine on the Airline. Your thoughts on this one?
Not just that it's being played at a venue that's the GOAT, like one of the best places. They call it the Shrine for a reason. It's one of the more well-known places in New Orleans. But this is going to be fun. I think Cheese also once again spoiled my pick a little bit. I read earlier on Sportsline that St. Thomas is going to be down some wide receivers this week. Curtis is going to be able to control that ball a lot. I like the way that Curtis is looking right now. Don't get me wrong. I think St. Thomas More has kind of had an up and down season. They beat Neville and they lost to Terps. So it's kind of been a little bit up and down. Obviously Curtis has lost to, the College of Edna Carr and St. Augustine.
Right.
So I'm liking JT in this one. I just think Curtis is just going to do too much. And I guess what? Hey, Curtis, I saw JT at the volleyball tournament as well. They were
Oh yeah, it's good to see.
they were semifinalists this year in Division IV volleyball, and they bring a good bit of talent back, I believe. So I'll be excited to see them and hopefully see JT next year at the volleyball state tournament. Maybe they'll make a run to the finals next year. But yeah, give me Curtis. I think they'll beat St. Thomas More, but I think it's just going to be low scoring because I think both teams are going to have to try to stick to a ground game. And yeah, that's what I think. I think it's going to be low scoring, but give me Curtis.
Yeah, for sure. And Cheese, I believe Jacoby is a freshman, right? Like he's a freshman or a sophomore. He's fun to watch.
Sophomore.
He's a sophomore. I knew he's an underclassman, but yeah, he's really fun to watch. But yeah, I agree with you. I agree with Z Cheese here too. I think Curtis is going to play time of possession, keep away from Cole Bergeron. The 5 receivers getting, especially what St. Thomas More wants to do, that is tough to overcome. There for
all right, Jace, we're both wrong and both look like idiots. Jacoby's a senior.
Oh man, I thought he was. It seemed like he was. Oh, man, well, okay, he is a senior then. Man, but yeah, he's a great running back. I know they got a young quarterback, London Pageant. I think that's probably what I'm thinking about. But yeah, but still, John Curtis. It's kind of crazy where I'm like, I can't pick against JT, and I'm thinking, oh, the other sideline's Jim Hightower. So it's like, well, something has to give, but I'm not going against JT Curtis. So give me the John Curtis Patriots to move on and advance to take on, let's see, the winner of Bomball and Turlings Catholic. And Turlings Catholic, talk about them, about the Rebels. Michael Corville, I joked with them after seeing them play against East Ascension, like, you must think this head coaching thing is pretty easy, huh, Coach Corville? All you've been doing is winning 10-0. This season, had a big win over St. Thomas More to end the season as well. And Alex Munoz having a great season at quarterback for the Rebels. And then you look at Bonneville, what a great story this year. First playoff win since 1997, since I was born. So it's been a long time coming for the Bonneville Bruins. But, yeah, I mean, congratulations, your trophy after winning your first playoff game in such a long time. You got to run into the Rebels, which are rolling right now as the number 2 seed. So Turlings Catholic, great story for Coach Corville. Hey, trying to keep his early undefeated record intact still. 2
first-year head coaches. I think this one will be fun. I'm excited to see what Bonneville can do against the likes of Turlings. I think, early in the season – they played some really good teams. They played Destrehan, Jesuit, and Bellchase, and they really kind of got blown out in those games. I'm hoping that Andre and his squad can put up a little bit of a fight against Turlings, but this is a good Turlings squad, and Coach Corville's a great coach. They're scrappy, they're gritty, they're going to grind games out on you, they're going to beat you by a bunch of points. They're going to do whatever they need to do to win, and I think they're going to win. They're going to win pretty comfortably. We'll see what happens with this one, though. But even if Bonneville loses, those kids at that school can hold their head high because this has been a great season for them. And I'm excited to see what happens with that school in the future as well.
Yeah, there's a Coach of the Year candidate. Andre Anthony definitely needs to be. I mean, really, both these 2 coaches really need to be deserved to be.
Both in the conversation.
Both in the conversation for sure. But give me Coach Corville and the Turlings Catholic Rebels, game being at home as well. And hey, I mean, you see St. Thomas More, I mean, or John, it could be a rematch. St. Thomas More finds a way to upset John Curtis and play Turlings Catholic again. That is always an option. But yeah, give me Turlings Catholic to move on to the next round. Well, Spencer, it took 3 hours for us to do it, but we're finally done. We finally went through all the brackets, Division 4 to the Division 1. And that's a good point, too, as we wrap up this from Z Cheese. John Curtis did beat Turlings in the quarterfinals last year, so we could have a rematch from that playoff game last year. Remember, John Curtis had a losing record, and first time since, his first year, since 1969 for JT Curtis, and all they do is make the semifinals, right? But, yeah, we went through it all, Spencer, 3.5 hours. We're finally here.
We made it to the end. We made it.
Again, but trust me, Spencer, it's going to get shorter and shorter as we go through it.
Every week it'll get shorter and shorter. Yeah, there we go. Jason,
So-
I appreciate you for having me on. We have a lot of fun doing this. I can't wait till we do this again next week and we look and we got everything wrong entirely. All our upset picks
we were like
happened in
idiots.
the end. That we
This
all
is
got.
almost-
We all got these picks that we said the game wasn't gonna be close. The game was a 3-score game, or it was like a 3-point game. Can't wait to look back on all that next week. But yeah, as always, appreciate you having me on.
Hey, we're still not as long as an Under the Light show. So as long as we didn't break the over on the Under the Light show, we're good. So
I think I'll have to bring the coffee next week if I end up making the journey out there to be on that show. So just yeah, gonna have to chug the coffee, chug a little energy drinks, and see if we can push through it. And I'm excited to see what happens this week, though. I think there's some good matchups I'll be having my eye on. Don't know where I'm gonna be just yet. I'm probably be in the Lafayette area somewhere, like I mentioned earlier. But just excited to see that we're getting closer and closer to what feels like Christmas Day every year. I think Thanksgiving is next week.
Hey, when Coach Bouger always tell me at Episcopal, if you're practicing on Thanksgiving week, that is accomplishment. And there's a lot of teams trying to get that point to practice during Thanksgiving week. That's where you want to be. You won't be practicing during Thanksgiving week. So a chance for the quarterfinals. So thank you so much, Spencer, for coming on the show. Make sure if you're watching us, guys, thank you for all the people that have commented on the show and been involved with the show. We really appreciate all the comments throughout the entire show. Makes the show a lot more fun, too, with the comments. So we appreciate y'all guys for joining us. And then on Friday at 10:30, we'll go and recap all the madness after the fact. So 10:30 on Friday night, we'll get some reactions from some coaches, give out some scores, and then break down. Not as much as on Mondays or Tuesdays, but we'll go back to either be Monday or, depending on Spencer's schedule, Monday or Tuesday. As much
no state championships on Monday next week. After swim on Saturday, we're done with the fall stuff until football. We have after swim, it's just football left, and yeah, that's pretty much all we got left. We're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there. Maybe one more Tuesday or something. We gotta go through, but we'll figure that out, and we'll let y'all know when the next time we'll preview all the playoff brackets and the playoff matchups every Monday or Tuesday. And we'll recap everything on Friday night. So, guys, make sure whether you follow us, subscribe, whether you're watching us on Facebook, X, YouTube. Wherever you're watching this, make sure to subscribe or to follow us if you haven't already. But for Spencer, Verrett doing a great job with the LHSA Network. He doesn't sleep. I don't sleep. So that's why we're doing the show at 11:30 at night. I'm Chase Luzerne. Thank you to Tommy's Windows as well, a proud sponsor of our show. So thank you, everybody. And we'll see y'all. We'll see how we do on Friday night. So thank y'all guys for watching. We'll see y'all next week or on Friday for another episode of Ballin in the Booth.